radio show ever. And due to contractual obligations and to shield our airwaves corporate licensees from any semblance of liability, responsibility, and gullibility, we must tell you the views represented on this show are not necessarily those of this station or its management. This radio show contains differing points of view on current political topics, and due to the nature of its contents, it should be heard by everyone. Thank you for listening.
3, 2, 1.
Now live from the heart of liberal Wisconsin, where the political party is just beginning, welcome to the Devil's Advocate Show. Best friends proving it's never personal, only politics.
Please allow me to introduce myself.
Now here are your hosts, Dom and Kroot.
Welcome to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show, TGIF, to my little buddy.
Krooty, happy Friday. It is a beautiful day today, and I am super excited. We got a busy couple of days ahead of us.
Buddy, my plans for the weekend, they just changed. Let me tell you, breaking news.
Oh, no.
Chicago Sun-Times. High time? Question mark. Pritzker vows to sign legal recreational pot bill headed to his desk. Dominic, the great state of Illinois, and I wasn't always so, let's just say, up on the state of Illinois.
I'm a little more high on them right now.
Yes! A recreational marijuana legalization bill will soon land on Governor J.B. Pritzker's desk after the Illinois House on Friday voted to pass the comprehensive measure. The Illinois House voted 66 to 47 after more than 3 hours of debate. The Illinois Senate on Wednesday cleared the measure. The governor issued a statement applauding the bill's passage and pledging to sign it. The state of Illinois just made history legalizing adult use cannabis with the most equity-centric approach in the nation. Pritzker said, this will have a transformational impact on our state, creating opportunity in communities that need it most and giving so many a second chance. Dominic, while there are great swaths of criminal justice and social equity reforms attached to the measure, including giving a second chance to thousands of people convicted of marijuana possession, practically speaking, it will allow Illinois residents over 21 to buy cannabis from licensed dispensaries as soon as January 1st. That's not soon enough. I want to know.
It's like a Christmas gift.
Dominic, if signed into law, Illinois will become the first state to approve cannabis sales through the legislature instead of ballot measure. There are laws regulating and taxing cannabis in 9 states. In Vermont and Washington, D.C., cannabis possession and cultivation is legal, but sales are not regulated. Talking about Wild West. The measure would also allow Illinoisans over 21 years of age to possess 30 grams, Dom, or just over an ounce of cannabis flower, or 5 grams or less than a quarter ounce of cannabis concentrates such as hash oil. Additionally, Illinoisans, flatlanders as I used to call them, Dom, would be able to carry up to a half a gram of edible pot-infused products. One more quote here, Dom. It's time to hit the reset button on the war on drugs. Bill co-sponsor, State Rep Kelly Cassidy, Democrat from Chicago, said during the debate, what is before us is the first in the nation to approach this legislatively, deliberately, thoughtfully, with an eye towards repairing the harm on the war on drugs. We have an opportunity today to set the gold standard for a regulated market that centers on equity and repair. And Dominic, I'm going to say it, freedom.
It smells like freedom. Thankfully, there is some, more responsible government around Wisconsin than what we have in Wisconsin. Krooty, briefly, if I may, from
Please
Channel
do.
12, ABC, here locally today. Jumping the border if Illinois legalizes recreational marijuana?
You know I will.
Police say not so fast.
Oh, good luck catching me.
Illinois lawmakers are a step closer to legalizing it, as Krooty said. It will still be illegal in the state of Wisconsin, says Downer Trooper Justin Goldnick of the Wisconsin State Patrol.
Buzzkill.
Both the State Patrol and Kenosha County Sheriff's Office tell WSN 12 News their patrol strategies for DUIs involving marijuana won't change if Illinois' laws change. We see it coming from all over the place, especially with legalization all over the country, Goldnick said. But as of right now, we don't predict a huge influx. But there are going to be a number of people who will be unaware that even though it is legal to purchase in Illinois, it is still illegal to possess in the downer state of Wisconsin.
Dominic, I'm going to use the I didn't know I couldn't do that defense.
Can I just turn around and go right back to Chicago?
I might move to Chicago, Dom. This has got me, I mean, I've got a whole new respect for the flatland, Dom.
Was that wrong?
They're way ahead of us, Crudy, unfortunately. So what? We're going to be surrounded. Michigan, Illinois, and I think Minnesota has, at a minimum, medicinal. And here, and of course, Canada, past the lake to the north, full-on recreational as well.
Well, as the state trooper noted, Dom, it's already here. It's just on the black market, unregulated, untaxed, can be purchased readily by minors. All of those things don't seem to bother Wisconsin Republicans. They're just down with the black market, right?
They think if they don't use it, only the criminals do. And
you telling me Republicans don't smoke weed?
Alberta Darling doesn't.
You sure?
No.
She's been smoking something, Dom. I feel relatively confident.
Come on, Wisconsin, get your crap together.
This is a fiscal issue. This is a freedom issue.
This is a criminal justice issue.
And, of course, Illinois already had medicinal marijuana. The state of Wisconsin can't even give people their medicine. No, you're not allowed to have medicine. Take some opioids instead.
Well, yeah, the opioids. You can buy stock in your drug dealers today, Crude. And, of course, through those big pharmacies, they can give lots of donations to people like State Senator Alberta Darling. See how that works? Come on, marijuana industry. You got to maybe start doling out some money if you want more legality here, any legality here in the state of Wisconsin.
Dominic, I'm going to have to start looking for like a crash pad in Rockford or something.
Yeah. A new destination, Rockford?
Destination? It'd be nice to, drive 45 minutes from my house and no longer be a criminal? I mean, wouldn't that be nice? Just think about that. There will be dispensaries. It'll be like going to the grocery store. Only it will be regulated. You can see precisely what's in there.
Regulated, labeled, percentages of THC levels.
Whether or not it's got pesticide on it. Because I don't particularly like pesticide on my weed.
Organic or not. Yes, this is regulation is a wonderful thing. Apparently, Republicans love their bathtub gin.
Dominic, let's plan a New Year's trip. I mean, I know we're going to Iowa for like Groundhog Day sometime around that time, when the Iowa Hawkeye kicks off. But Dom, I'm thinking bring in the New Year's in the Flatland. I'm going to Chicago, man. I'm on a mission from God.
Got sunglasses on, a full pack of cigarettes, and a half tank of gas.
I hate Illinois Nazis.
And I hate Illinois Nazis, too.
I hate Wisconsin Republicans that don't see the wisdom. It's already here. You got a guy for that.
You got a guy for everything.
It'd just be nice to have a guy who you didn't have to make a criminal. And if he's a brown or a black guy, Dom, the likelihood is if he got caught with a backpack full of sweet, kind, loving bud, probably he might be facing some sort of incarceration, Dom. Because the disparate outcomes, they also come with marijuana possession. And here in the state of Wisconsin, white Republicans, they're all good with that as well. Because they can put brown people in jail disparately. Look at the outcomes. Look at the outcomes here.
But come on, these are the conservatives, Crudy. Their whole lives, good people don't smoke marijuana. But it's fine. You want to, drink your brandy and your whiskey, Wisconsin, and we know we love our beer.
And nobody's smoke marijuana.
And nobody's Republican kids ever had a nose candy problem. Just ask George W.
No, never. That wouldn't happen.
So it's Friday, man. We air grievances around here. The breaking news, it hit my phone as I was turning on the microphone, and I had to go there first. Illinois, the now great state of Illinois. I never liked Illinois prior. I really didn't. I hate the tollways. I'm going to have to pay tolls to get to the dispensary so I can, go have a good time on a Friday night.
Well, not necessarily, man. You can take non-toll roads and get there. Might take you a little longer. Go along the lake. It's a beautiful drive. Stop, smoke a little bit, enjoy the wonderful summer, and then contemplate why the hell you're living in Wisconsin with such asinine, outdated medieval laws that persecute those of us who choose our intoxication just a tad differently than the Republicans.
Guess I'm going to have to settle for some scotch and driving home later.
Yeah, right.
I got to tell you, I'm a little verklempt. I'm so happy.
You're kind of choked up a little bit.
I'm so happy. And I hate Cubs fans, and I hate White Sox fans, and
we don't hate anybody. We love everybody. We just prefer some teams over others.
You know what? Here's the great news for all the people in Illinois. The fact that they've been mouth-breathing their entire lives, they're going to be so prepared for this legalization done.
They'll really be able to clear those 3-foot bong hits then.
They're going to be so ready. I am so ready for the state of Wisconsin to join the rest of the nation in the 21st century.
What?
Stop the reefer madness. Stop the prohibition. I'm going to start spending all my tourism dollars south of the border. I'm going to build a wall. Hell, who the hell would want Wisconsin?
Crudy, we've been going on marijuana vacation since they legalized it in California, Colorado. We've been doing this for years. And
I got a spring travel schedule around primary states predicated on where we can get legal marijuana all across the entire United States of America. We will not be going to South Carolina.
Thank you.
And I will not be staying in Wisconsin, not for much longer, not if you have this regressive policy here. Come back with us. Devil's Advocates. It's Friday. We air grievances. Want to hear yours. 844-967-2789. Illinois.
Hey, listen, guys. Look, I don't want to mess with no reefer addicts, okay?
Good people don't smoke marijuana.
I hate Illinois Nazis.
Ooh, I'm going to hit the pause button right there.
Hey, you want to get high, man?
Yes, but now you must eat. Come, good food.
This is Ben Wickler, running for chair of the Democratic Party of Wisconsin with Felicia Martin for first vice chair and Lee Snodgrass for second vice chair. Our platform spells FIRE. F is for fight on issues between elections. I and R for include and respect everyone, rural, suburbs, cities, and communities of color. And E for empower, empowering grassroots activists with better data, technology, and training. Vote for me, Ben Wickler, Felicia Martin, and Lee Snodgrass this Sunday at the Democratic Party of Wisconsin Convention. Learn more at benwickler.com.
Electric bikes are exciting. E-bikes improve your health. E-bikes give you fun things to do this summer besides going out to eat.
Lynn, I have gotten chubby.
Lose weight, lower blood pressure.
But is it going to cost me $2,000?
No, at Crazy Lenny's E-Bikes, we have bikes for just $690. Get outside this summer. Ride the trails. Get an e-bike. Go up hills without pedaling. E-bikes only $690 at Crazy Lenny's E-Bikes, 6017 Odana Road.
You don't have to buy one. Just try one.
No, you don't have to buy one. Just try one.
Hey, Milwaukee, do you have an office to clean out or close out? Don't call the junk man. Call my friends at Madison Liquidators. Sustainability is their business model. They'll pick up and recycle and refurbish your used furniture. They'll help keep your old office furniture out of the landfill. Find them online at MadisonLiquidators.com. Call Madison Liquidators, 608-831-1012. Madison Liquidators. Tell them the Devil's Advocate sent you. The Democratic Party of Wisconsin Convention will broadcast live on WRRD 1510 AM Saturday, June 1st, beginning at 10. Hosted coverage with Sabrina Madison, Earl Ingram Jr., Joe Costa Zambaripa, and the Devil's Advocates through Saturday night speeches. Exclusive WRRD 1510 AM coverage sponsored by the Wickler Martin Snodgrass Ticket, Teamsters Local 200, CD1 Democratic Party, and the Packing House Restaurant.
You're listening to the radio show your mother warned you about. Tom and Kreutz are the Devil's Advocates.
And we are back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show, streaming on YouTube, streaming on Facebook. We're on Twitter at Devil Radio, and the political party line. Air your grievances. It's Friday, 844 967-2789.
Dominic, let's go to the phones right away. Brock from Horicon, he's the early innovator today. Once again, that phone number, 844-967-2789, the political party line. Brock, welcome.
Well, happy Friday. And I'm wondering, the Republicans have a chance for an extensive jobs program by legalizing marijuana. I don't remember the estimates for jobs off the top of my head in the state of Wisconsin that the legalized
16 to 17,000 new jobs. That is more than they're promising for Foxconn, which is going to cost us $4.5 billion. Instead, we could have $200 million a year in new tax revenue. And the weed's already here, Brock.
Where could we ever spend such a small amount of money, like on our,
I'm sure,
on our roads and our decrepit schools and our basic falling apart infrastructure that's been on the downward slide since the 90s? I just don't know why they don't just snatch victory from the jaws of defeat.
Because, Brock, they can't get over the black and white reefer madness, man. This has been pounded into their heads. So it's either they're ignorant, willfully ignorant, because they're not getting any campaign dollars out of it.
Well, I know for a fact the two biggest donors I personally know supported Trump, and it kind of explains. I don't think they were smoking straight stuff. Maybe there was some PCB.
Right, something was laced. Why would you do that?
Mix it together. I'm not sure, but I think it is, like you said, a stereotype and a thought process. But all those good, high-paying union jobs, you think the Republicans would be all over that? Jobs.
Wait, union jobs? Maybe that's the problem as well.
Brock, let me ask you.
Yeah.
Have you ever been to a legal marijuana state? Have you ever gone and spent your tourism dollars with purpose in a state where you didn't have to be a criminal? You could smoke a J or eat an edible without, fear of prosecution?
Allegedly.
Allegedly, you've spent some dollars elsewhere?
Well, I guess the point is, it's great to have a feeling of no persecution. And there's a flip side to this as well. Not about the money that we make as a state, not about the safety of the regulation, bringing a product that's already here, bringing it out of the shadows and doing the business. It's also the money not spent on prosecuting stupid crimes like marijuana possession. Or
paying tolls in Illinois when I have to drive down to Illinois to not be a criminal.
But the other one as well, Brock, is, I have an issue with law enforcement who enforce marijuana laws. A lot of police officers there's lots of good ones out there. Like anybody else, there's some bad ones as well. But generally speaking, people want to do a good job. And when you have an officer who's going to walk by you smell like a little kind kush, and use that as an excuse to stop and frisk you. I think that is just an unreasonable search. And I don't think that it's up to the cops to be doing something like that. Now, they could do it now because it's justified as illegal, but I sure as hell would have a whole lot more better feelings towards the law enforcement and judicial parts of our country if this were to be legal. Because every time I see a cop now, I'm thinking, oh man, do I got some weed on me? What's happening?
Brock, I'm going to make a confession on the radio right now. I've been really high around some of the top law enforcement people in the state of Wisconsin.
Yeah,
just saying. They probably sensed it.
Yeah, but it's no different than having... I'm sorry, Brock, don't mean to interrupt, but when we got the DNC here in the city of Milwaukee, state of Wisconsin, all these dignitaries got up in front and they all toasted a beer, right? I mean, that's totally fine, and no one even blinks an eye, and I'm down with that. What would happen if they all got up and just lit up a joint and passed it around in unity and love, just like they were toasting the beer? Essentially, it's the same thing, but the perception of those hardwired, old school reefer madness, anti-everything except my booze and my pills, those folks just can't seem to get over it, Brock.
Yep, I agree. And when I worked in the prison system, you wouldn't believe how many people were in there for minor marijuana possession. They were about as dangerous as my kindergarten teacher. And what would end up happening is you would put them in with these hardcore guys So then you would make one problem into three problems. You'd have someone there that didn't belong there. You'd have someone there that was being criminalized more than they would be. And you had someone that if or when you were going to let them out, instead of being a harmless recreational weed smoker, probably was going to be involved in some more hardened and more illegal stuff.
Well, I mean, it's entirely possible, Brock. I mean, certainly if you are convicted, especially of a felon, of marijuana possession, I mean, your employment options are limited regardless of your capabilities because of these laws.
Hey, Brock,
yes, you too. Have a good one.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, have a great weekend. You know, we have been so limited in our outlook, Dom. We've both been forced to work in radio.
Hell, radio takes anybody.
I mean, it's bad. It's bad if you are relegated to radio work, you know it's bad. Just ask former Governor Scott Walker.
Come on, Rush Limbaugh, he had no problem popping all those pills, and I don't know if he had a script for all of those, right?
Well, he had Consuela. She'd go down, meet the dealer on his behalf, and bring back a cigar box full of Oxycontin.
And what about Kudlow? Isn't Kudlow, what's his
cokehead
role? Yeah, huge cokehead. Like $100,000 a month cokehead.
Oh, you got a problem with that?
I mean, you cannot physically, I've done the math, you cannot do that much coke on your own. I'm just saying.
It may not be his original nose. Come back with us. We got a fine guest. He is calling in. He is Sam Grover, Associate Counsel, Freedom from Religion Foundation. Our friends, the atheists, they're back at it, Dom, apparently. There's some God-loving judge down in Texas making people say prayers, and they have sued over it. Also, later in this big show in the happy hour, Ron Johnson.
U.S. Senator, crowd favorite. People, thank you for playing along. Post a little video on the Facebook pages. I know people get so critical about me asking Ron questions, so we're going to do some participation. We will pick the best question out of all of them, and we'll ask the senator what you think.
Ron Johnson, last man standing. Come back with us. More Devil's Advocates. Sam Grover, Freedom from Religion Foundation, and you on the phones as well, perhaps. 844-967-2789. It's Friday. Thank goodness.
If you missed something on the Devil's Advocates, don't worry. After you get over your shame, you can check out domandcroot.com. Podcasts and interviews updated daily.
So thank you.
You concerned about speaking up at work? Do you feel like you have no say in your day-to-day work routine? Join Teamsters Local 344. Call 414-258-4545. Get a seat at the table. Join your brothers and sisters in negotiating for better wages, hours, and working conditions, and be part of the most powerful union in North America. Teamsters Local 344 covers sales and service throughout Southeast Wisconsin and package and airlines statewide. Contact Teamsters Local 344 at 414-258-4545 or at local344.org.
Adopt US Kids presents What to Expect When You're Expecting a Teenager. Learning the lingo.
Jelly. Jelly adjective. Jelly is a shorter, better way to say jealous. As in, Chloe, I am like so jelly of your unicorn phone case.
You don't have to speak teen to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same. Visit adoptuskids.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt US Kids, and the Ad Council.
You are listening to WRRD 1510 AM, Waukesha, Milwaukee. Always streaming at newstalk1510am.com.
This is Ben Wickler, running for chair of the Democratic Party of Wisconsin with Felicia Martin for first vice chair and Lee Snodgrass for second vice chair. Our platform spells FIRE. F is for fight on issues between elections. I and R for include and respect everyone, rural, suburbs, cities, and communities of color. And E for empower, empowering grassroots activists with better data, technology, and training. Vote for me, Ben Wickler, Felicia Martin, and Lee Snodgrass this Sunday at the Democratic Party of Wisconsin Convention. Learn more at benwickler.com.
Hey everybody, my name is Chris Walton, Chair of the Milwaukee County Democratic Party. I'm here to invite you to the 2019 Democratic Party of Wisconsin State Convention this weekend in Milwaukee at Potawatomi. It's $35 for admission, doors open at 11 a.m. on Saturday. Come out and join us and meet Democrats around the whole state of Wisconsin as we elect our next leaders and prepare for the 2020 Democratic National Convention and the presidential election. We will also be broadcasting live on WRRD 1510 and Talk 92.7.
The 1st Congressional District Democratic Organization's objective is to elect a Democrat as representative to Congress in the 1st Congressional District. Our 19-member board represents all 6 counties in the district. To learn more about our organization, like us on Facebook, Wisconsin's 1st Congressional District.
Five Nines, your local single-source IT solutions provider. Specializing in cloud technology, consulting, servers, networks, and hosting. We manage your IT so you can focus on running your business. Enjoy technology. Enjoy 59s.com.
The Democratic Party of Wisconsin Convention will broadcast live on WRRD 1510 AM, Saturday, June 1st, beginning at 10. Hosted coverage with Sabrina Madison, Earl Ingram Jr., Joe Costa Zamaripa, and the Devil's Advocates through Saturday night speeches. Exclusive WRRD 1510 AM coverage, sponsored by the Wickler Martin Snodgrass Ticket, Teamsters Local 200, CD1 Democratic Party, and the Packing House Restaurant.
For WRRD and WTTN, I'm Stu Daniels with your headlines. This weekend is the state convention for the Democratic Party of Wisconsin. This year, the convention is being held at the Potawatomi Hotel and Casino in Milwaukee. You can hear live coverage from the floor of the convention here on WRRD and WTTN tomorrow, starting at 10 a.m. and going late into the evening. The Devil's Advocates will be doing a live show during the break tomorrow from about 4:45 to 6:30 p.m. Featured speakers tomorrow evening include Governor Tony Evers, Senator Tammy Baldwin, and U.S. Representatives Gwen Moore and Mark Pocan. Forecast for Milwaukee and Madison. Tonight, mostly cloudy with a chance of rain. Lows in the mid-50s in Milwaukee, around 60 in Madison. Tomorrow, mostly cloudy with a chance of rain and highs in the low 60s in Milwaukee, low 70s in Madison. You're listening to WRRD and WTTN.
%60 of the time, they're right every time. Dom and Cruz are the Devil's Advocates.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show. We welcome a guest right now, live via phone, Dom. His name's Sam Grover. He is the Associate Counsel, Freedom from Religion Foundation. Sam, welcome to the big show.
Hello. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks, Sam. Appreciate it.
Well, I would give you a thank God it's Friday, but I suspect you don't honor such things around the office, Sam.
No, I'll just thank the regular old calendar for that one.
Amen.
Now, Sam, well said, well played, Sam. Sam, I found an article, and I don't often go to the Fox News, but good to see friends being featured there, like the Freedom from Religion Foundation. I see the headline, Atheist Group, I suspect that's you, sues Texas judge for unconstitutional opening prayer. And here's the surprising part. It's not the first time your group has had to sue the very same judge. Does this man not learn his lessons?
No. This man is on a mission that he thinks is from God, and it doesn't seem that anything we do can persuade him to change his ways.
And that man is Judge Wayne L. Big Mac. Judge Wayne L. Mack, who is a justice of the peace in Willis, Texas. So what precisely does Big Mac do in the courtroom, sir?
Right. So Judge Mack, he became a justice of the peace back in 2014, and almost immediately upon taking the bench, he started this chaplaincy program with the goal of opening each of his court sessions with Christian prayer. And he has done that ever since. We sent a letter to him. That's what the Freedom from Religion Foundation does, is we take in complaints from all over the country about state church violations. So we heard from someone local in Montgomery County, Texas, that he was doing this. We wrote him a letter explaining the law, that this is illegal. It's an endorsement of religion, Christianity specifically, made while he's acting as a government officer. And he took that letter and threw it in the trash. In fact, he did something worse than that. He used our letter and our attempt to uphold the Constitution to organize a prayer breakfast, which he also does as a judge. And he's done that every year since becoming a justice of the peace. So this is a man on a mission to infuse a government office with his Christian religion.
Folks, we are the Devil's Advocates. That's Sam Grover, Associate Counsel, Freedom from Religion Foundation. Sam, this is not the first time, obviously, you've fought with this judge legally. According to the reporting in Fox News, apparently the attorney for Mac thinks you're harassing him. What happened in the first lawsuit, and how is this time going to be any different?
Yeah, so I've tangled with First Liberty Institute before. That's the organization that's getting quoted in that article. They're an organization that promotes Christian nationalism, the idea that America was founded by Christians for Christians. And their idea of harassment is us sending a letter to the judge and then opening a complaint with the Texas State Commission on Judicial Conduct to get this practice stopped. And we did eventually, after the State Commission decided that it did not have the authority to decide whether this prayer practice was legal or not, we did then file a federal lawsuit in the Southern District of Texas in 2017, and we named in that lawsuit Montgomery County, the county where this Justice of the Peace office sits, as the defendant. After almost 2 years of litigation, the court ultimately decided that Montgomery County was not the entity responsible for this prayer practice. They have no control over Judge Mack's conduct in the courtroom. And it gets pretty technical, but the new lawsuit is, instead of against the county, it's against the state of Texas and Judge Mack in his personal capacity. So it's new defendants on the same issue, and that's what's different this time around is we're suing the people ultimately responsible.
And the last time around, it took them, 2 years for them to decide that Montgomery County should not be a party to this lawsuit? I mean, do you expect that this could take another 2 years to resolve, however it resolves?
The courts do move notoriously slowly, and so that's something that we're just going to have to grin and bear. Yeah. It's easy for me to do sitting here in Madison, Wisconsin, but we're representing a local plaintiff in this case, an attorney who has represented clients in front of Judge Mack for years and has been subjected to this prayer practice every single time. And ultimately, this attorney decided that he couldn't take it anymore. He couldn't stand being in this courtroom getting preached at in order to do his job. So he is now declining to take new cases before Judge Mack. He's losing business because of it. And we want to get that stopped. We want to make it so Texas courts are open and equally accessible to everyone, regardless of their religious or non-religious beliefs.
Sam, is it your impression defendants before the court, before this particular justice of the peace, are they also forced to, quote-unquote, pray? Are they being pressured to, let's call it, bend the knee, if you will?
Well, let me ask you what you would do, right? If you were brought before this judge on any sort of matter. Now, he's a justice of the peace, so he does misdemeanor criminal stuff and then also civil matters where the amount in controversy is under, I think, $10,000, something like that. But say you're there for a property dispute or something, and you've got the opposing side also in the courtroom, and the judge walks into the courtroom, all rise, you're standing there, and the judge says, all right, let me tell you a little bit about my justice court chaplaincy program. And he's very proud of it, and he says, and here's a chaplain from this program. I'm going to bring him up here.
I would interrupt him immediately, Sam, and say, what has this got to do with whether or not I get justice or I get, my redress addressed legally through the state of Texas? But of course, isn't that the concern, Sam? If I stood up and did that, I might not be, looked at in too good of a light.
Yeah, exactly. If you're there and this judge is going to decide your case, you're probably going to, put up and shut up and go along with the program because you don't want this judge to be biased against you. And if you're an attorney who regularly practices before that judge and you have a duty to your clients to get them the best possible outcome in their cases, then of course you're not going to object publicly.
Well, Sam, I find that a little less problematic in that I pray every time I appear before the court.
Hold on. That's a flippant remark, but also raises a really good point in that the Freedom from Religion Foundation does not care when and how you pray. We care when the government tells you when and how to pray. So you obviously can pray to whatever God you want
Knock
for an
yourself
outcome
out.
in your case.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. We don't care about that. That's true religious freedom. But we cannot have the government dictating when and how people pray.
Sam, got to ask you a question. This Hiram Sasser, the First Liberty General Counsel representing our buddy Big Mac, he said of your group, and I'm going to play devil's advocate here, but I'd like you to respond to his comment if you would, sir. It's ridiculous that a group from Wisconsin, what's he got against Wisconsin, would continue to fight invocations similar to those the Supreme Court of the United States has twice ruled are constitutional. Now, your prior lawsuit was thrown out. Why does this lawsuit have merit in light of the prior ruling before the Supreme Court?
Yeah, Hiram Sasser is being truly disingenuous in that quote. He's saying that Judge Mack's prayer practice is anything like these prayer practices that have been upheld by the Supreme Court. The truth is that no court has ever upheld clergy-led prayer in a courtroom setting, and that's what we have going on here. He's talking about the Grease v. Galloway case and Marsh v. Chambers, which are both cases about legislative prayer. So the Nebraska State House opening with prayer, and then the town of Grease opening city council meetings with prayer. Those have nothing to do with the courtroom setting, and as you probably know, courtroom settings are inherently coercive. A judge holds a considerable amount of power over those who come before him in court, and it's coercive to do what he's doing, to do what Judge Mack is doing.
They make you stand. They make you take your hat off. I mean, if you don't follow the rules of that judge in the court, they could punish you for that. I'm not a big fan of all that, Sam. I got to be honest. But I want to ask you a question. A lot of these Republicans and religious types, they're all about, religious freedom, and anybody that goes against their religion is violating their religious freedom. It seems there's like a disconnect, Sam, on how you define it and how some of these conservatives define it. Sam, I want to be very specific. What's the difference? If someone has their personal religion, if they're offended by legislation or by some act of an individual, is that an attack on their religious freedom?
So absolutely not. The Constitution has long drawn this line in the First Amendment between belief and action. That's the very premise of religious freedom can only exist if we draw this line, right? Your right to swing your fist ends at my nose, right? You can do what you want up until the point where it affects the rights of other people. And that is a line, an important distinction that this Christian nationalist group, is trying to obliterate. They're trying to make it so religious freedom means the right to act. And we see this in all sorts of issues, right? So Kim Davis and the quote-unquote right for government clerks to, not do their job if they find, gay people to be offensive. And a wide variety of other issues. Religious freedom was brought up in the 1960s in the context of civil rights, right? Maurice Bessinger owned a barbecue joint where he decided he wasn't going to serve black people, and he said, "It's my religious right to not serve black people if I don't want to." So this argument has existed for a long time, but it has never won the day because at the end of the day, it's untenable to allow people to act contrary to the law just by claiming religious freedom, right?
Yeah.
At the end of the day, religion is made up, right? And you can make up any sort of belief you want and call it religion. The court.
Sam, sorry to cut you short. Really appreciate your time. Associate Counsel, Freedom from Religion Foundation, TGIF to you, sir. You can say it means whatever you want. Come back with us. More Devil's Advocates, 844-967-2789.
This time enjoying the ride.
The most important decision you can make right now is where do you stand? Goodness or badness?
2 all beef patties, special sauce, lettuce, cheese, pickles, onions, and a sesame seed bun.
Was she a great big fat person?
He called me fat and said I was going to die on the toilet.
This is Ben Wickler, running for chair of the Democratic Party of Wisconsin with Felicia Martin for first vice chair and Lee Snodgrass for second vice chair. Our platform spells FIRE. F is for fight on issues between elections. I and R for include and respect everyone, rural, suburbs, cities, and communities of color. And E for empower, empowering grassroots activists with better data, technology, and training. Vote for me, Ben Wickler, Felicia Martin, and Lee Snodgrass this Sunday at the Democratic Party of Wisconsin Convention. Learn more at benwickler.com.
Electric bikes are exciting. E-bikes improve your health. E-bikes give you fun things to do this summer besides going out to eat.
Lynn, I have gotten chubby.
Lose weight, lower blood pressure.
But is it going to cost me $2,000?
No, at Crazy Lenny's e-bikes, we have bikes for just $690. Get outside this summer. Ride the trails. Get an e-bike. Go up hills without pedaling. E-bikes only $690 at Crazy Lenny's e-bikes, 6017 Odana Road.
You don't have to buy one. Just try one.
No, you don't have to buy one. Just try one.
Hey, Milwaukee, do you have an office to clean out or close out? Don't call the junk man. Call my friends at Madison Liquidators. Sustainability is their business model. They'll pick up and recycle and refurbish your used furniture. They'll help keep your old office furniture out of the landfill. Find them online at MadisonLiquidators.com. Call Madison Liquidators, 608-831-1012. Madison Liquidators. Tell them the Devil's Advocate sent you.
Have a drink at Regano's Roman Coin. This neighborhood corner tavern is as classic as the street it occupies. Family owned and operated since 1966, Regano's Roman Coin is located in a former Pabst Tide House on historic Brady Street, serving an array of craft beers with a focus on Wisconsin breweries. Also, weekly drink specials, trivia on Wednesdays, seasonal sporting events, parties hosted for all occasions, and pet friendly. Open 11 a.m. Tuesday through Friday, 10 a.m. Saturday and Sunday, closed on Monday. Regano's Roman Coin, Milwaukee's pet friendly, cash only order and classic corner tavern.
The Devil's Advocates, because freedom.
And we are back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show, streaming on YouTube, streaming on Facebook, on Twitter at Devil Radio, and the political party line. It's Friday. Air your grievances. Talk or text at 844-967-2789.
Dominic, want to thank our most recent guest, a fine one indeed, Sam Grover, Associate Counsel, Freedom from Religion Foundation. Sam, sorry to cut you short. Dom, we got another fine guest joining us in the happy hour today. Coming in studio, maybe even bringing beer, U.S. Senator Ron Johnson. The last man standing, the last statewide Republican in the state of Wisconsin. Dom, you could turn the tide of the whole state today.
And how was that?
Well, you could overserve him, perhaps.
Come on.
Maybe you could talk him into going out back on the back porch with you. Next thing you know, Ron's in all sorts of a predicament, a pickle. And
growing his hair out and wearing flip-flops.
He'd never win re-election, that
Oh,
Democratic socialist Johnson. Want to mention one thing, Tom. Marijuana and God, the two topics have been brought up so far, at least praying. But Dominic, I got to ask you one last time, we air grievances on Friday. Here's a modest disappointment for me. The Rastafarian Church in Madison on Mifflin Street, all indications are this time the shutdown's going to stick.
I got to tell you, I'm not surprised.
Well, the police did send a cease and desist letter. They did try to get the group evicted. And how there were even protesters. There were accusations that, they were acting in a racist fashion. But here's the one thing. Here's the giveaway. And here's where I think the brothers, the men of the cloth over at the Rastafarian shop, here's where I think they're going to lose their battle in the courts. Here is why. The sacrament, the marijuana that they smoked at the church down with the fine parishioners, and I'd like to mention I was a member of that church.
Wait, was? You're no longer a member of that church?
Well, I don't know that there is a church anymore to go belong to.
I don't know if you can leave Rastafarian, man.
Well, deep in my heart, Tom, I'll always be Rastafarian to my core. At least as long as it's beneficial for me to go and find a little loose weed I can buy on the cheap, right?
Whatever works, man.
I mean, it was a pretty good little scam. I even got friends.
Scam? I mean, I have no doubt that these folks, that there's believers out there, and I don't see the difference.
Hell, they might
between
be
drinking the wine
believers.
or smoking the weed. I mean, if you're going to use it as part of your religious ceremony, and who cares?
But I can tell you why they are not going to successfully win on the merits when it comes time for trial, Dom.
And why is that?
Well, at one point, and you at the Rastafarian Church, formerly of Mifflin Street in Madison, you joined the church, and that didn't cost any money to the best of my memory. You know, it gets a little fuzzy, though. But after you joined the church, then, you know, you could share in the sacrament. Hell, you could take a little sacrament to go with you if you wanted to. You just had to give a little donation to the church, right? And it all seemed a little too commercial. The fact that, you know, they literally had like credit card readers that you could give your donations with. And I'm thinking, I got friends in the CBD industry that can't get a credit card reader. How is this feasible? You know, being a church and all, I guess it's God's
church,
will.
right? It's a business.
God's work. But apparently, and I only know this through the reporting of others, Tom, at one point there was some dispute over, you know, tithing to the church, a exchange of donation for loose cannabis. And at one point, the minister got out a baseball bat.
What?
Yeah. It stops being about God loves you when you threaten a guy with the baseball bat if he will not tithe your church.
You know, I got to be honest. A long time ago, I was watching some broadcast television, and there was this preacher guy on, sitting back, smoking a cigar, just talking trash to the television. And he would take long, pregnant pauses as he puffed his cigar and drank his drink and looked at the camera and said, "You better tithe me right now." And he'd talk very slowly and rudely. "Or next time you come around my farm, my horse is going to bite your gonads off." I'm just saying. Now, he was a man of God.
I'm not coming around the farm, man. If you got a gonad biting horse, I just don't want to hang out in your place.
Come on, it's always a threat. Give or you're going to hell. Isn't that what they say? I'm not clear how it works, but it seems like the threat is always inherent.
Just because you have to be pressured to take your wallet out, Tom, that doesn't mean that's how everybody else thinks. I'm just saying.
844-967-2789. Wisco Paul, you're up. Happy Friday.
God will strike you down if you don't buy the next round of drinks, Salvia.
Hey, Paul, welcome.
Hey, happy Friday to you.
Thanks, man.
New Glarus Day. Hey, I have a quick grievance here, and as much as I love the lady, it's against my Senator Tammy Baldwin, who I've voted for twice. She can't come on Madison Radio with all the great things she's doing and talk about it, but yet Ron Johnson could come on. Come on, Tammy, give me a break here. You know,
Ron,
I'm sorry.
And it's only a prediction. I don't know this for sure, Paul, but Ron Johnson probably will bring a 12-pack of beer, 6 New Glarus beers, 6 Miller Lights. I mean, he's made it something of a habit. That's the only reason Dominic invites him back.
Sometimes you like my question, sometimes you don't. But he makes himself available, and not just to us. I mean, Ron will go anywhere. I mean, that's my impression of the senator. And
I've seen him on MSNBC.
And for some reason, a lot of the progressives and liberals, and hell, certainly other Republicans in the state of Wisconsin, you can't even get them to call you back.
You know, Paul, it used to be fear that Dom, or I, but mostly Dom, would ask the marijuana question. That used to be the fear. Democrats that wouldn't want to come around were afraid that Dom was going to, you know, hold them to the mat if they didn't agree with the party platform of legalization. But ultimately, I think we've moved beyond that issue. Seemingly, the majority of Americans have. Right. I know there are a few Republicans stuck up on the issue, but I'm not at all sure. Paul, here is my only theory. We're just too cool. They all pale in comparison. They don't want to seem so lacking in dynamism. You know, they're not dynamic. I don't know if that's the proper way to describe it, Paul.
It is now.
But compared to us, they lack in super coolness, Paul. They pale in comparison to the fine host. That's their fear.
Well, as much as I love Tammy, you got to get on Madison radio. That's the bottom line. Come to Madison, get on Madison radio, and if the polls are right, 60% of the people in the state now support legalized marijuana. What states of Illinois has it? Does Minnesota have it? Does Michigan have it? So we're
check.
the only one. Oh,
yeah.
Jesus.
I don't know why
anyway.
anyone would come vacation here. You know, if they're coming, I mean, once marijuana is fully legal in Illinois, Paul, every Flatlander, you know, driving their Mercedes-Benz SUV is going to have half an ounce in the back. Not that they don't now, but now it's going to be legal.
Right.
They're all going to be crossing the border, Paul. They're all going to be bringing it right up to Wisconsin, and they're going to be smoking it at their cabin or at their campsite. And you know what? No one's going to be the worse for wear.
Well, I'm all for it. I don't have a problem with it. And tax it. Maybe you can fix the roads that Walker destroyed or something. You know. Anyway, you guys have a great weekend. Maybe
Buddy,
I'll
you
see
going to the convention?
Yes, I'll be there eventually, sometime tomorrow. So, yep.
Well, I hear there'll be live speeches from 4 to like 4:45, but right around 4:20. If you're around, you come see me and Don. We'll take care of you, Paul.
Okay, thank you. You guys have a great weekend.
All right, you too, Paul. Maybe we'll see you tomorrow.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Do you remember the year we took Brett Halsey off campus? He was running for governor against Barry Burke.
And
I felt like
Wisconsin Dells or something, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was at the. It wasn't at a casino. It wasn't at the Ho Chunk. It was at the Wilderness, and we took Brett Halsey off the reservation. And when we brought him back, let's just say he smelled like some skunk's ass.
Jeez.
He didn't win the race, shockingly, Dom.
Weird.
He did have that little communist manifesto hat.
Yeah,
remember, he had his little Chinese hat with the
star on it.
Communist star on there.
Wow.
Come back with us. You can be the star if you dial now at 844-967-2789. It's almost the weekend. We're going to be broadcasting live starting tomorrow morning, 10 a.m. WRD 1510 a.m. WTTN 1580, Talk 92.7, live convention coverage all Saturday long. You want to tune in, you want to listen. Devil's Advocates, we're even going to do a shift.
If politics is boring, you're doing it wrong. Check out more at domandcroot.com.
This is Ben Wickler, running for chair of the Democratic Party of Wisconsin with Felicia Martin for first vice chair and Lee Snodgrass for second vice chair. Our platform spells FIRE. F is for fight on issues between elections. I and R for include and respect everyone, rural, suburbs, cities, and communities of color. And E for empower, empowering grassroots activists with better data, technology, and training. Vote for me, Ben Wickler, Felicia Martin, and Lee Snodgrass this Sunday at the Democratic Party of Wisconsin Convention. Learn more at benwickler.com.
You concerned about speaking up at work? Do you feel like you have no say in your day-to-day work routine? Join Teamsters Local 344. Call 414-258-4545. Get a seat at the table. Join your brothers and sisters in negotiating for better wages, hours, and working conditions, and be part of the most powerful union in North America. Teamsters Local 344 covers sales and service throughout Southeast Wisconsin and package and airlines statewide. Contact Teamsters Local 344 at 414-258-4545 or at local344.org.
You are listening to WRRD 1510 AM, Waukesha, Milwaukee. Always streaming at newstalk1510am.com.
Tariff fallout, North Korean mystery. I'm Mike Moss. Car companies, grocery stores, and the U.S. Chamber of Commerce are calling on the president to withdraw his threat to impose an escalating tariff on Mexican imports, beginning at 5%. The Chamber's Neil Bradley says the tax will hurt consumers and won't improve conditions at the border.
Well, a tariff is nothing more than a tax, right? And so at 5%, that's $17 billion in additional taxes on American consumers and businesses. That won't do anything to keep someone from crossing the border, coming up from Central America into Mexico and crossing.
Secretary of State Mike Pompeo was asked today about reports of executions of North Korea's Kim Jung Un staff after the failed summit in Hanoi.
We've seen the reporting to which you're referring where doing our best to check it out.
Correspondent Brian Todd with more.
Kim Jung Un is a man who is believed to have executed his own uncle with an anti-aircraft gun back in 2013. It is certainly possible that Kim Jung Un ordered these purges. We do have a point of qualification that we have to mention here, that in the past, South Korean media reports of North Korean executions, including reports from the newspaper reporting this situation, Chosun Ilbo. Some of those reports have turned out to be inaccurate.
The transcript released by a judge today confirms Michael Flynn's concern that the president's lawyer tried to influence the testimony of the former national security advisor in a call to his attorney. Correspondent Shimon Prokupez.
This was a voice message that was sent to Michael Flynn's attorney. That attorney and Michael Flynn turned it over to the special counsel's office because there was some concern that perhaps people inside the Trump administration, perhaps even his own lawyer, the president's own lawyer, John Dowd, was somehow trying to influence Michael Flynn's cooperation.
Virginia Beach police say several have been injured in a shooting incident at the municipal complex. Police have a suspect in custody. The Dow down 354. I'm Mike Moss.
Hey everybody, my name is Chris Walton, chair of the Milwaukee County Democratic Party. I'm here to invite you to the 2019 Democratic Party of Wisconsin State Convention this weekend in Milwaukee at Potawatomi. It's $35 for admission. Doors open at 11 a.m. on Saturday. Come out and join us and meet Democrats around the whole state of Wisconsin as we elect our next leaders and prepare for the 2020 Democratic National Convention and the presidential election. We will also be broadcasting live on WRRD 1510 and Talk 92.7.
The Democratic Party of Wisconsin Convention will broadcast live on WRRD 1510 AM, Saturday, June 1st, beginning at 10. Hosted coverage with Sabrina Madison, Earl Ingram Jr., Joe Costa-Zamaripa, and the Devil's Advocates through Saturday night speeches. Exclusive WRRD 1510 AM coverage, sponsored by the Wickler Martin Snodgrass Ticket, Teamsters Local 200, CD1 Democratic Party, and the Packing House Restaurant.
Organizations from across the country are converging on parts of Arkansas and Oklahoma, while historic flooding continues along the Arkansas River.
At a World Vision warehouse in Grand Prairie, Texas, outside Dallas, crews are organizing donations and packing supplies by the truckload to head to Fort Smith, Arkansas. Hundreds of homes damaged along the Arkansas River. Gilbert Young with World Vision says the first batch of supplies is typical household items.
We have cleaning supplies, rags, brushes.
He says his team is standing by as long as needed.
Disasters are a fluid situation, then our product changes and we start sending in different resources.
Help is on the way, but for many Americans, the threat of flooding continues into the weekend. Clayton Neville, Grand Prairie, Texas.
IRS is proposing an update to the W-4 form to make sure that employees are making proper deductions. The new form would require more detail about outside income and exemptions. I'm Mike Moss.
Thinking about electric bikes are exciting. E-bikes improve your health. E-bikes give you fun things to do this summer besides going out to eat.
Lynn, I have gotten chubby.
Lose weight, lower blood pressure.
But is it going to cost me $2,000?
No, at Crazy Lenny's E-Bikes, we have bikes for just $690. Get outside this summer. Ride the trails. Get an e-bike. Go up hills without pedaling. E-bikes only $690 at Crazy Lenny's E-Bikes, 6017 Odana Road.
You don't have to buy one. Just try one.
No, you don't have to buy one. Just try one.
Hey, Milwaukee, do you have an office to clean out or close out? Don't call the junk man. Call my friends at Madison Liquidators. Sustainability is their business model. They'll pick up and recycle and refurbish your used furniture. They'll help keep your old office furniture out of the landfill. Find them online at MadisonLiquidators.com. Call Madison Liquidators, 608-831-1012. Madison Liquidators. Tell them the Devil's Advocate sent you.
For WRRD and WTTN, I'm Stu Daniels with your headlines. Milwaukee County Executive Chris Abele plans to tear down an historic Shorewood mansion that he recently purchased. The family who sold him the home on Lake Drive say they are heartbroken and would not have sold him the property if they knew he planned to destroy it. The home features many irreplaceable amenities, including a room made of solid hand-carved mahogany and an original Aeolian pipe organ with pipes in the attic and basement. And the Brewers beat the Pirates last night 11-5. Game 2 of that big 4-game series is tonight in Pittsburgh. Forecast for Milwaukee and Madison. Tonight, mostly cloudy with a chance of rain. Lows in the mid-50s in Milwaukee, around 60 in Madison. You're listening to WRRD and WTTN.
Warning, you are about to listen to the greatest radio show ever. And due to contractual obligations and to shield our airwaves' corporate licensees from any semblance of liability, responsibility, and gullibility, we must tell you the views represented on this show are not necessarily those of this station or its management. This radio show contains differing points of view on current political topics, and due to the nature of its contents, it should be heard by everyone. Thank you for listening.
3, 2, 1.
Now live from the heart of liberal Wisconsin, where the political party is just beginning, welcome to the Devil's Advocate Show. Best friends proving it's never personal, only politics.
Please allow me to introduce myself.
Now here are your hosts, Dom and Crute.
Welcome back. Hour 2 of the Devil's Advocates Radio Show, the TGIF edition, or as some would like to think of it, Dom, the Democratic Party of Wisconsin Convention Eve edition.
Yeah.
I know you're usually waiting for the weekend, Dom, but making you work a little bit this weekend, buddy. Going to have to rub shoulders with all the Democratic luminaries in the great state of Wisconsin. And here's a little note. Some have been giving grief to the Democrats, the electeds in the state of Wisconsin for not appearing on this fine radio station. And yes, they're right to do so, Dom. But I would point out all the big speeches, they will be live. We'll carry them all live, Dom. We're going to have Jill Karofsky. I think I got her name right.
Judge Jill?
Judge Jill. We're going to have Ed Falone. We're going to have David Bowen. He, of course, a candidate for Democratic Party chair. We're going to have Ben Wickler, also a candidate for Democratic Party chair. Of course, we're going to have Tony Evers, Mark Pocan, Gwen Moore, Tammy Baldwin. And Tony Evers, he's the headliner, right?
The keynote speaker.
We may not make it all the way to the keynote.
We'll see what time it is.
I'm not sure if that's going to make for good radio or not. As long as he doesn't GD us on the air this year, I'd be appreciative.
Please.
Whether or not he appears with any of the fine hosts, Dom, we're going to have hosted radio all day long, starting at 10 a.m. on WRD 1510 a.m., WTTN 1580, and Talk 92.7. Tony, come around, man. You don't even have to sit with Crudy. I'll be on my best behavior. I sort of kind of promise.
Yeah, but once you get in the conversation, you can't leave.
Is this before or after I start drinking?
Hopefully before. Remember, I gotta keep a low roar tomorrow, Crudy. Behave yourself, at least until like 8 or 9.
What time's the keynote speech?
8 or 9.
Something like that, right? Anyways, let's get back to the phones. It's Friday. We air grievances. So does our audience, Tom. We encourage them to do so here at 844-967-2789. Be like Mark from Reedsburg. Welcome, Mark. What's your thoughts?
Gentlemen, happy Friday.
Happy Friday, Mark.
I wish you guys would have scheduled me for the whole hour because I have a lot I want to tell you. But
all right. Well, if you're interested enough, you never know what happens. Lay it on us, brother.
Well, I've been listening from the start of your show today, and there's just so many things I want to say that kind of point to everything you guys have been talking about. So, firstly, I was named a delegate, Assoc County delegate. So I'll be at the convention. Pretty excited about that.
Nice. Have you ever done that before, Mark? Is this a...
No, this is my first time as a delegate in the state of Wisconsin. I'm originally from Wisconsin, but I was gone for 19 years, and then Scott Walker in corporate America made me quit my job and come back to Wisconsin to fight for the people of Wisconsin and not corporate Wisconsin. So here I am.
Right on.
I got a small business on Main Street in Reedsburg, and I'm trying to do everything I can to support this community. The other thing is early to begin with, you guys talked about cannabis and all that stuff. And so I was in Colorado for 19 years, and I was a lighting rep. And so I had an opportunity to deal with LED lighting early on as it came into the United States market in both commercial and residential lighting. So as the laws changed in Colorado, I had this, this idea that I had a buddy of mine help me put into metal, and I got my patent last September. And this is all about increasing yield within a defined square footage, whether it's cannabis, hemp, food, whatever you're talking
Tomatoes,
about.
right, whatever.
Let's concentrate on cannabis, Mark. Continue along that track.
Yeah, let's focus on the important stuff, right? So anyway, now here I am. It's really bizarre. I was in Madison a couple months ago. I got an opportunity to tour a hemp facility in Madison, which is pretty freaky to begin with, just because we know how that stuff's received in the state. But, then come to find out there's a hemp production facility being built in Reedsburg, which is phenomenal. So now I'm in the process of starting my little supplemental horticultural lighting business in Reedsburg, along with my, neighbor who's involved in hemp production. This is all leading somewhere to begin with, which I think is pretty awesome. I know that you guys don't think it's going to move as quickly as we'd like, but I think on a national level, I wouldn't be surprised if Trump legalized it before he got out of office. I really honestly wouldn't. I'm not a Trump supporter.
That might be genius on Trump's behalf, Mark, but, I want it legalized in the next 6-8 minutes, man. It's almost 4:20, Mark.
Yeah. Hey, what stays in my house, doesn't leave my house, right?
Yeah, but I like to leave my house. That's the problem, Mark.
Yeah.
It's not the days when I
completely.
Mark.
I think we definitely will get there, you guys, and I think it's going to be a lot quicker than people think. Just because these guys can act like they're so against it, and I realize, I understand the dynamics in Wisconsin. I think it's more about keeping people of color incarcerated and not being able to be involved in the electoral process. I get that, but I think the money always wins. And I think these guys behind closed doors, just like they did in Colorado and just like they did in Washington and Oregon and all these other places, the money is so substantial that they can talk all the garbage they want in the public.
But, Mark, I think it's going to take a federal effort. My understanding with Colorado was done by referendum. They went around the legislature.
But Illinois just demonstrated that conscientious legislators can do the will of the people.
Right.
Just not here in Wisconsin so much, Mark.
Right. I think that's one thing that, people really lose focus on is representation. And I had getting arguments with people on Facebook and all these social platforms about this all the time, but it's like politics aside and partisanship aside, this country should be operating on a majority rule kind of scenario. And if
I absolutely agree, but we are a republic. Majority rule would mean the minorities have nothing to say. But
how is that different than the way Republicans govern here in the state of Wisconsin, Dom?
I'm sorry, what's your question?
You talk about majority rule. Well, we've got Republicans in the state of Wisconsin that really only govern for the 50+1. They don't govern to the minority. They don't give a damn what the minority thinks here in the state of Wisconsin. So you talk.
Well, it's not even majority rule. If you add up all the votes cast because of the redistricting and so forth, they have received less votes. Hell,
the partisan gerrymandered
President Trump received less numerical votes, the popular votes, than Hillary Clinton.
I guess, sure. My only thought would be here in the state of Wisconsin, you're right. They're gerrymandered, talking about the Republicans safely like ticks on a dog. They're gerrymandered safely, and they don't have to do the will of the people. They have to do the will of their campaign donors, and the only fear they have is being primaried from the right. So until someone on the right gets in bed with the marijuana industry, and I'd go look at what John Boehner's doing. Hell, even Scott Walker, when he was the head of the Republican Governors Association, they took a $25,000 donation from the legal marijuana industry.
The Republicans will cash every single check. We know this.
But they'll tell you and I and people like Mark from Reedsburg and everybody else what they can do, even in the confines of their own home. And the only point I was trying to make to Mark is, Mark, I get it. You know, in your own home, I think even most Republicans will leave you alone in your own home, you know, excepting the bedroom. But in your own home, I think they're okay if you smoke a little weed in the garage or in the
I'm not clear on that.
basement.
I'm not clear on that.
But I like to leave the house. Pie-eyed as hell. Come back with us. More Devil's Advocates. You can join us on the phones. It's Friday. We air grievances. Yours could be next at 844-967-2789.
Let me just say, they are a breath of fresh air.
Hey, Milwaukee, do you have an office to clean out or close out? Don't call the junk man. Call my friends at Madison Liquidators. Sustainability is their business model. They'll pick up and recycle and refurbish your used furniture. They'll help keep your old office furniture out of the landfill. Find them online at MadisonLiquidators.com. Call Madison Liquidators, 608-831-1012. Madison Liquidators. Tell them the Devil's Advocate sent you.
We the people, the hardworking 99% of men and women, only have a voice when we join together as one and amplify our message. Now is the time for all Wisconsinites to join We the People and raise our voices. Do you feel like you are wasting your money funding unaccountable consultants, unresponsive candidates, and their campaigns? Help us do something that really matters. Please join We the People. Give what you can so we can support progressive radio stations like this one, using the public airwaves to educate Wisconsin about what we the people want for our state and remind Wisconsin's politicians that they work for us. Your donations to We the People at p4ppc.org, a registered, compliant IRS 501c3, will always be tax deductible, will always remain anonymous, and We the People pledge to spend 100% of donations educating Wisconsin on the issues our donors want discussed, giving individuals a voice in the collective message of We the People. Please give today at p4ppc.org. That's p4ppc.org. We the people need you.
You concerned about speaking up at work? Do you feel like you have no say in your day-to-day work routine? Join Teamsters Local 344. Call 414-258-4545. Get a seat at the table. Join your brothers and sisters in negotiating for better wages, hours, and working conditions, and be part of the most powerful union in North America. Teamsters Local 344 covers sales and service throughout Southeast Wisconsin and package and airlines statewide. Contact Teamsters Local 344 at 414-258-4545 or at local344.org.
The Devil's Advocates, because it's always 420 somewhere.
And we are back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show. It's the 420 break. You can join us on the phones this Friday. Air your grievances at 844-967-2789.
Dominic, want to encourage our fine audience to support all our fine sponsors around here. We do have a CBD shop, the Hemp House. Brian Simonson, that guy is so excited that marijuana is being legalized in the state of Illinois. I've seen him all over the social mediums today. He's grinning from ear to ear right now, I bet you. Also, support fine groups like the People for People Corporation. Their We the People campaign, you know, get behind them at p4ppc.org. And Dominic, also, fine service professionals like our friends over at Solidarity Realty. They'll help you get your house sold, and they'll do so ethically. So consider calling Darcy Haber and her fine agents over at Solidarity Realty. But Dom, I don't care how good a realtor they might be. They'd have a hell of a time selling real estate in Trump Tower right now. It's a bloodbath.
Oh, no.
Real quick, we'll get back to the phones. This one quite short, 844-967-2789. From the body of the Raw Story piece, Bob Brigham reports President Donald Trump's toxic brand is destroying property values in Trump Tower. MSNBC's Chris Hayes reported on Thursday. Here's the quote. The Manhattan real estate market is one of the most expensive in the world. And despite a recent slowdown, it's still a profitable investment for the vast majority of people who can afford it, Hayes reported. He explained that less than 1% of homes in Manhattan sold at a loss over the last 2 years. That is quite small. 0.25% of homes sold at a loss. Hayes noted that in Trump Tower, several units have sold for more than a 20% loss over the last 2 years. Most of the losing real estate in Manhattan is in Trump Tower. Here again is quote, Tom. Now, anyone who looked for an apartment in New York knows about the website Street Easy. We did browsing for hot deals on current listings in Trump Tower, and I'm telling you, it's a fire sale in there, he's reported. For example, Unit 30G was listed for $6.9 billion during the second month of Trump's presidency. It just entered a contract for $3.5 million. Ouch, he's noted. One unit was listed for $18 million during Trump's campaign and has now been cut to $8.995 million, Dom, a decrease of more than 50%. Technically, that's not, but anyways, it's a bloodbath happening in the middle of one of the world's strongest real estate markets, he noted, all seemingly due to the 5 letters on the front of the building.
Oof.
Trump. Trump. It's a Trump dump, Dom.
Do we know the sellers? I mean, obviously, if you're going to launder money and buy condominiums, you would probably pay a premium for them.
Oh, you mean are these Russian mobsters, are these oligarchs selling at a loss? Seems unlikely, Dom. That's not exactly how you launder money.
How do you launder? You transfer through a third party? I'm just not quite clear. 844-967-2789.
To conceal the source of money as by channeling it through an intermediary.
Intermediary. Hey, if you take a loss, it's all free money anyway. Mark from the Sack, you're up. Thanks for calling. What do you got today?
So the Trump Putin $55 million Trump apartment is worth less than $55 million now. Didn't he offer to Putin?
He sure did. Trump Tower, Moscow.
Well, I'm not sure they ever built that, Mark, although apparently they were still in negotiations, despite what they told the American people, right up to November of 2016.
According to Giuliani.
That we know of, they still might be in negotiations for all we know. I mean,
yeah, absolutely. We don't know what the president is saying in private conversations with Putin.
Yeah, just this is a little challenge to all the little trolls out there. I mean, why don't those guys ever call in and so we can actually put voice to supposed face or alternative face they put on their little Facebook page there, because most of them are too cowardly to even put their real identity out there.
Now, Mark, you did suggest that some of the trolls on our Facebook page should have to go and register with the U.S. government as agents of a foreign power. Now, is that Russia or the Republicans?
Oh.
Well, the Republicans are probably pretty much Russian-owned at this point in time, considering the change to our their party platform. And
sort of like Crimea or the Ukraine is sort of a Russian subsidiary at this point.
Right. I mean, and Crimea, I mean, that they just, Trump just kind of more or less gave his blessing to that thing, to that seizure there. So it's just, just a query out there. I mean, that if those guys, my question is that, and semi-honestly saying that, well, if these guys are getting paid by Russians, are they actually, unregistered foreign agents, or maybe they're actually registered foreign agents and we just don't know about it?
Well, the good news is Mitch McConnell is doing absolutely nothing to uphold the integrity of the elections in the United States. So whatever bad stuff may have happened in 2016, whether or not you love some Donald Trump or think he's an illegitimate president, there should be no doubt at this late hour, just ask Mueller, Volume 1, the Russians interfered in a prior election, and they utilized social media and perhaps even hacked some of Hillary's emails, or maybe it was a 400-pound guy in Jersey on a couch. But ultimately, we aren't doing anything to thwart future efforts, be it the Russians, the Chinese, or the Israelis.
Curdy, we do have some breaking news. I'll lay it out there quickly, and then we'll get to it perhaps on the other side of the bottom of the hour break. CNN reporting The Justice Department today released a transcript of a call from Donald Trump's attorney John Dowd to Rob Kiner, a lawyer for Trump's former national security advisor, Michael Flynn, where he sought information about Flynn's discussions with the special counsel.
Now, Dominic, we have not yet talked about the crazy new tariffs being proposed by Donald Trump. And my conspiracy theory, initially at least, was that this was Trump's way of keeping promises, because he's going to make Mexico, in a roundabout way, pay for the wall through tariffs, right?
That's not how it works.
Well, I really, much like the president, don't understand the concept of tariffs, so I am also befuddled at his plan. But my conspiracy theory was this was, not just an effort to have them reform their immigration, but also was an effort, to finance the wall down. But perhaps it is purely an effort to create chaos and turn the page on the Michael Flynn transcripts.
Yeah, I mean, you got to think that this president needs to create a storyline every single day to keep us, on our toes. But here's the second part of this CNN breaking news.
Well, it does keep us turning the page each day.
Again, CNN.com. However, the Justice Department refused to turn over transcripts of Flynn's calls with Russian officials, including then-Russian Ambassador Sergei Kislyak, as was expected after Judge Emmett Sullivan ordered prosecutors to file those publicly. What? The Justice Department has released, transcripts of the one call, but they won't release transcripts of conversations with the Russians, even though the federal judge has ordered them to do so. What the hell is going on?
Dominic, I found this transcript of the Flynn call, or the John Dowd message for Michael Flynn. I found this plenty troubling in its own regard. I mean, this is somewhat damning of the president's legal team. I would say witness tampering seemingly is evident. And ultimately, Dom, I think Mueller even talked about this. I think it was volume 2. I think this was part of what Mueller was discussing with the whole obstruction of justice. They were trying to obstruct Michael Flynn.
It's evident. They have the recording. We have the transcripts, but we don't have the Russian transcripts in violation of the federal judge Emmett Sullivan's orders.
Well, now do we have a constitutional crisis?
Good question.
Come back with us. Devil's Advocates, nothing but answers on the other side. 844-967-2789.
Want to see the super sexiest political show on earth? Check out the Devil's Advocates on YouTube.
If I did a tenth of what she did, I would be in jail today.
Electric bikes are exciting. E-bikes improve your health. E-bikes give you fun things to do this summer besides going out to eat.
Lynn, I have gotten chubby.
Lose weight, lower blood pressure.
But is it going to cost me $2,000?
No, at Crazy Lenny's E-Bikes, we have bikes for just $690. Get outside this summer. Ride the trails. Get an e-bike. Go up hills without pedaling. E-bikes only $690 at Crazy Lenny's E-Bikes, 6017 Odana Road.
You don't have to buy one. Just try one.
No, you don't have to buy one. Just try one.
Most of my family, they never graduated high school, so I'm trying to break that barrier. My daughter, Brooklyn, was also a motivation for me to go back to school. Every day after work, went straight to school, and it paid off.
At age 26, Kareem finished his high school diploma.
I could not have done it alone. I see the future is really bright for me.
No one gets a diploma alone. If you're thinking of finishing your high school diploma, you have help. Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org. Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
You are listening to WRRD 1510 AM, Waukesha, Milwaukee. Always streaming at newstalk1510am.com.
This is Ben Wickler, running for chair of the Democratic Party of Wisconsin with Felicia Martin for first vice chair and Lee Snodgrass for second vice chair. Our platform spells FIRE. F is for fight on issues between elections. I and R for include and respect everyone, rural, suburbs, cities, and communities of color. And E for empower, empowering grassroots activists with better data, technology, and training. Vote for me, Ben Wickler, Felicia Martin, and Lee Snodgrass this Sunday at the Democratic Party of Wisconsin Convention. Learn more at benwickler.com.
Hey everybody, my name is Chris Walton, chair of the Milwaukee County Democratic Party. I'm here to invite you to the 2019 Democratic Party of Wisconsin State Convention this weekend in Milwaukee at Potawatomi. It's $35 for admission. Doors open at 11 a.m. on Saturday. Come out and join us and meet Democrats around the whole state of Wisconsin as we elect our next leaders and prepare for the 2020 Democratic National Convention and the presidential election. We will also be broadcasting live on WRRD 1510 and Talk 92.7.
The 1st Congressional District Democratic Organization's objective is to elect a Democrat as representative to Congress in the 1st Congressional District. Our 19-member board represents all 6 counties in the district. To learn more about our organization, like us on Facebook, Wisconsin's 1st Congressional District.
Five9, your local single-source IT solutions provider, specializing in cloud technology, consulting, servers, networks, and hosting. We manage your IT so you can focus on running your business. Enjoy technology. Enjoy five9s.com.
The Democratic Party of Wisconsin Convention will broadcast live on WRRD 1510 AM Saturday, June 1st, beginning at 10. Hosted coverage with Sabrina Madison, Earl Ingram Jr., Joe Costa-Zamaripa, and the Devil's Advocates through Saturday night speeches. Exclusive WRRD 1510 AM coverage sponsored by the Wickler Martin Snodgrass Ticket, Teamsters Local 200, CD1 Democratic Party, and the Packing House Restaurant.
For WRRD and WTTN, I'm Stu Daniels with your headlines. A major breakthrough in robotics is being reported by researchers from UW-Madison. An article by the researchers appears in this week's edition of the scientific journal Science Robotics and describes a new way of mimicking the complex coordination between arms and hands. This research could, for example, make it easier for robots to defuse bombs or provide medical care for patients in remote locations. And what remains of the Bradley Center in Milwaukee is coming down today. Forecast for Milwaukee and Madison tonight, mostly cloudy with a chance of rain. Lows in the mid-50s in Milwaukee, around 60 in Madison. And tomorrow, mostly cloudy with a chance of rain. Highs in the low 60s in Milwaukee, low 70s in Madison. You're listening to WRRD and WTTN.
The Devil's Advocates. Political commentary from the back of the class.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show, TGIF to us all. Dominic, the breaking news of the hour, the Flynn transcripts, at least one of them, transcript singular. Apparently, the government, the Department of Justice, has decided you're not entitled to the rest.
What?
I didn't quite understand their explanation. Dom, you've got it from CNN. What is it they're claiming, and can you explain it to the people? We promised them answers. This statement only raises more questions.
According to CNN, regarding the Kislyak, this is Sergei Kislyak, the former ambassador, Russian ambassador, regarding that call, prosecutors appear to say they don't believe they need to hand over other recorded transcripts they may have involving Flynn. But their explanation in the filing Friday isn't clear. Here's a quote from the filing. The government further represents that it is not relying on any other recordings of any purpose. Let me restart that over. The government further represents that it is not relying on any other recordings of any person for purposes of establishing the defendant's guilty or determining his sentence, nor are there other recordings that are part of the sentencing record, the Friday filing says, in the only sentence apparently addressing their response to Sullivan's order for the Flynn transcripts of calls with Russians.
Dominic, separately, the Justice Department hasn't released any additional parts of the Mueller today. prosecutor said Friday that all of the information about Flynn, or that Flynn gave to Mueller, that made it into the report is already public. But Dom, we do have a transcript of the voicemail recording. Is this more you or me?
I can kind of get through this. Of course, this is a voicemail, a transcript. There's some ums and whatnots. I'll try to read it verbatim.
I try not to throw so many ums in my long-winded voicemails, Tom.
When you're trying to obstruct justice, I mean, maybe you get a little nervous. If you're trying to obstruct justice, maybe you throw some ums in there.
Now, apparently, this is what? Trump's attorney, John Dowd, talking to Flynn's attorney.
Correct.
And it's about the time frame, November of 2017. So Flynn has already been discovered, right? Lying. Been like 2-3 weeks. He got fired. Well, that was like February of 2017. So this much later in the year, Dom. And at some point, Michael Flynn, General Flynn, and the Trump team were in a joint defense stance, right?
Joint defense agreement,
They were sharing
yes.
all the information right up until about the time of this voicemail
Until
message.
a day or two before this voicemail. This occurred on November 22nd. So at that point, they shouldn't be having these conversations. But here is the voicemail.
Dowd must have called and wished him a happy holidays.
Something
Hope
like
the
that.
turkey's excellent this year, Michael.
Hey, Rob. This is John again. Maybe I'm sympathetic. I understand your situation, but let me see if I can't state in starker terms. If you have, and it wouldn't surprise me if you've gone on to make a deal with and work with the government, I understand that you can't join the joint defense. So that's one thing. If, on the other hand, there's information that implicates the president, then we've got a national security issue, or maybe a national security issue. I don't know, some issue we got to deal with, not only for the president but for the country. So then we need some kinds of heads up, just for the sake of protecting all our interests, if we can, without you having to give up any confidential information. So, and if it's the former, then, remember what we've always said about the president and his feelings towards Flynn, and that still remains. But, well, in any event, let me know, and I appreciate your listening and taking the time. Thanks, pal.
Thanks, pal.
Thanks, pal. Will you help us obstruct some justice? Thanks, pal.
We've always had warm feelings in our cockles for your client, Mr. Flynn. If he just keeps his freaking mouth shut,
hey,
right?
He's a friend of ours. You wouldn't do that. I mean, if there's gonna be any, information, it might, confidential, that would be, it'd be bad for the country. It'd be bad for the president. So if you're gonna, just give me a heads up, for just for protecting all our interests. Thanks.
Just in case the president might be implicated in something, for the sake of the country. Dominic, so that's what we do know about the Flynn transcripts.
But we knew some of that already. Some of that Dowd, some of that information was out in the past. Now this is
another
full
nothing burger like
I'm
Mueller's
not sure
the other
about
day,
the nothing
buddy?
burger, but it's great to see it. Love to hear it. But the whole lack of Russian transcripts because they don't think it's necessary, or they didn't use it for establishing his guilt or determining the sentence, nor are there other recordings that are part of the record. So I'm not clear. Are there recordings of Flynn and Kislyak? And if so, the judge specifically ordered them released. Whether or not the DOJ and the government used them in their prosecution, I don't recall the federal judge giving a damn. I think he asked for them, as well as whatever additional redactions be unredacted from the Mueller report. And now they're saying that, no, you got it all. I don't believe any of this. And the fact that there's no recordings of Kislyak and Flynn, it would be very surprising to me.
Dominic, do you know Donald Trump has kind of waded in this whole thought of no impeachment, right? Dirty word. Filthy word.
Filthy,
nasty word.
Disgusting word.
Impeachment. And Donald Trump keeps saying, well, the Supreme Court would get involved. Now, John Roberts would be impaneled. He would preside over the Senate during an impeachment trial.
He'd be
if
the
it
judge.
actually got to that point.
He'd be the judge.
John Roberts would be. But, Trump's buddy Alan Dershowitz, the guy that used to be highly respected but somehow was lost a little standing on Martha's Vineyard, well, somehow Dershowitz has pretzeled his logic. I'd like to share a little bit of this with you. Supreme Court could overrule an unconstitutional impeachment. This is the sort of legal advice, the unsolicited advice that Donald Trump's getting right now. I read briefly. President Trump has said that if the House were to impeach him, despite his not having committed high crimes and misdemeanors, he might seek review of such an unconstitutional action in the Supreme Court. On April 24th, he tweeted that if the partisan Dems ever tried to impeach, I would first head to the U.S. Supreme Court. Not only are there no high crimes and misdemeanors, there are no crimes by me at all. Apparently, Dershowitz didn't read the Flynn transcripts from earlier today. But I read on. Yesterday, when asked by a reporter if he thinks Congress will impeach him, the president responded, I don't see how. They can't, because they're possibly allowed, although I can't imagine the courts allowing it. Commentators have accused Trump of not understanding the way the impeachment works and have stated quite categorically that the courts have no constitutional role to play in what is solely a congressional and political process. Time magazine declared in a headline, that's not how it works. And Vox called the president's argument very confused. Well, apparently, Dershowitz plans on buttressing up our very confused president. Scholars also echoed the derision. The influential legal blog Lawfare wrote confidently that the Supreme Court has no role in impeachment. And my friend and colleague, the eminent constitutional law scholar Larry Tribe, called Trump's argument simple idiocy, explaining that the court is very good at slapping down attempts to drag things out by bringing it into a dispute where it has no jurisdiction. Not so fast, according to Dershowitz. Our non-lawyer president may be closer to the truth than his lawyer critics. In fact, the Lawfare blog that noted that Trump's suggestion of resorting to the Supreme Court to appeal an impeachment did not come out of nowhere. Alan Dershowitz recently made an argument along the same lines, writing in an essay on the case against impeaching Trump, that were a president to announce that he's refused to accept the actions of the Senate in voting for his removal, and that he would not leave the office unless the Supreme Court affirmed his removal, the people might well agree with him. Now, Dershowitz, apparently quoting himself and then continuing his argument, says, however, my argument did not come from nowhere either. Two former well-respected justices of the Supreme Court first suggested that the judiciary may indeed have a role in reining in Congress were to exceed its constitutional authority. Justice Byron White, a John F. Kennedy appointee, put it this way. Here's a quote. Finally, as applied to the special case of the president, the majority argument merely points out, were the Senate to convict the president without any kind of trial, a constitutional crisis might well result. It hardly follows that the court ought to refrain from upholding the Constitution in all impeachment cases, nor does it follow that in the cases of presidential impeachment, the justices ought to abandon their constitutional responsibility because the Senate has precipitated a crisis. Now he goes on to quote Souter as well, Dom, but let's see if he makes any good points here. Moving towards the conclusion. Were Congress to try and impeach and remove a president without alleging and proving any such crime, I think there'd be crimes, but I read on. And were the president to refuse to leave office on the ground that Congress had acted unconstitutionally, there would indeed be such a constitutional crisis. And the Supreme Court precedent, going back to Marbury Madison, empowers the justices to resolve conflicts between the executive and legislative branches by applying the Constitution as the supreme law of the land. So, anyways, Dershowitz is proposing that effectively Trump can fight even an impeachment. And then ultimately,
but he's got so many variables. Oh, let's assume there's no allegations and no criminality. I mean, the assumptions are already bunk. I mean, so the rest of the argument is garbage. There's not going to be any case of impeachment. I mean, hell, we have specific allegations written up in the Mueller report that are very evident right now, and the Congress is hesitant.
Evident to whom?
Evident
Not
to
Mitch
me.
McConnell.
Evident to me. All right. The point is,
but you don't get to
there.
preside.
They're there. Listen, I don't. It doesn't matter, Crudy. This is not going in with a blank slate. This is not a political move. There is a report from a special prosecutor, Crudy. I mean, there are allegations.
Let me continue for just a moment, if I could. What Dershowitz is postulating here, if I understand him, is were the House to move forward, and the House, the partisan House, the Democratic-led House, were they to vote to effectively impeach and move it on to a Senate trial, right? What Dershowitz says is that the Supreme Court Chief Justice, John Roberts, could effectively insert himself at that point and effectively dismiss the House findings because it's unconstitutional, because if it's deemed by Roberts that there is no crime, understanding Roberts would have the right to, apparently at his sole discretion, make that determination. What Dershowitz is proposing is that effectively John Roberts inserts himself regardless of what the House says, and Roberts can dismiss this action before it ever gets to a Senate trial.
I don't buy it for a minute.
What, you don't buy that they would attempt to do this?
I
mean, Mitch McConnell's
anything is possible given this administration, but I don't think that holds any water whatsoever. You want to talk about a constitutional crisis? Have the House go through legitimate impeachment inquiry and give it to the Senate, and what, Roberts comes in or any Chief Justice comes in and says
it and says there are no high crimes and misdemeanors. This is an unconstitutional finding. I dismiss the finding of the House.
No way.
Dershowitz.
It can't happen. Cannot happen. It's not up to the judge to determine that. It's up to the House.
Are you sure?
I'm sure.
Okay, when it moves beyond the House, who then presides? And is there any precedent there pointed towards Marbury Madison when there is, incongruence between the legislative branch and the executive branch? Who gets to be the judge, jury, and executioner?
Well, in an impeachment, the Senate's the jury. The Senate decides that, man. He's presiding over it. There's no... Listen,
but you understand,
he's laying out a situation that does not exist.
He's laying out a legal defense for Donald Trump to basically ignore the will of the U.S. Congress and utilize the Supreme Court Chief Justice to do so.
Precipitated with absolutely no crimes or no misdoings whatsoever.
Determined by who? Because the House members' opinions on this matter would not matter. It would only matter what Robert's opinion was.
If that were to be the case, then every impeachment could be overturned by a single person? That's what you're saying? I don't buy that for a minute. No.
Dominic,
no.
Point towards all these successful impeachments before now.
Yes, we are in new and interesting times.
Well, that's why he brings it up, I suspect, Dom. He's helping to build the defense for Donald Trump. 844-967-2789. Let's take Bill. Bill, welcome. Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Rockersville, but I live in Maryland. Liberalville.
Right on, Bill.
Be out of Liberalville. I'm just driving down the road here. I pulled over. Actually, I can speak here, and I don't know who you guys are. I just happen to be just scanning the radio, and I hear you guys. Impeachment. I get it. Does anybody other than Republicans, conservatives, really care about the investigation into the investigation?
No, absolutely not. I don't think there's any will to investigate a lawful investigation, sir.
I mean, I get it that they don't care. That doesn't mean it's not reality.
Bill, what if there's no there there?
How...
I mean, James Comey went out and wrote an op-ed and said...
There. The impeachment, there's no there. You've got to be kidding me. There's too much, and we barely know anything.
Bill, have you read the Mueller findings? Any part thereof?
I have not read it. I haven't read it from start to finish.
Have you read parts?
I've read enough of it to realize that it was a political hack job, yeah.
Okay, and which part, Volume 1 or Volume 2, was the hack job?
Both.
So you don't think the Russians... you don't think the Russians tried to influence the outcome of the election? Regardless of whether or not you like this president, do you think the Russians were involved?
every country is trying to play with our system.
So is that a yes?
Of course the Russians do it all the time.
But that's what Volume 1 says, sir. Bill, that's what Volume 1, what Mueller's Volume 1 lays out, is that the Russians attempted to influence the outcome of the election. So is that legitimate or not, Bill? Volume 1.
In relation to what and whom. It wasn't about whether Russians, it was about whether or not the Trump administration knew and had anything to do with it.
Okay. What if they obstructed justice to the point that we really don't have the entirety of the facts, Bill, much like Mueller postulated in his Volume 2, sir?
How do you obstruct justice when there's no crime? How do you do that?
Impeding an investigation, Bill. Well, I know a lot of people keep saying that. They don't understand that. But the fact of the matter is, if there's an investigation... Hang on, Bill. No, you talk. No, I'm going to talk. And now you're going to listen. If you and I are going to court, right? And I'm going to go testify against you. All right? We haven't solved whether or not there's actually been a crime. But I'm going to go and testify. And you tackle me, and you tie me up, and you prevent me from testifying against you. Even if the case is eventually thrown out as a nothing burger, Bill, you have obstructed justice. You have obstructed the process. And that is exactly what this administration has been doing from day one. And this is an investigation. Hang on, Bill. This is an investigation into foreign meddling in the very basics of our country, man. And yes, absolutely the campaign was involved in it.
What does it have to do with Trump?
Has everything to do with Trump.
No, don't tell me. Don't just say everything. Actually tell me.
140-plus contacts with Russian agents with the administration, including Trump.
10 separate counts of possible obstruction, sir.
Oh, see, you're just a liberal.
Come on, shut up. Hit the road, Bill. I appreciate you trying, but come on, man. Read the book, and then read the Mueller report, and then insert Trump administration and Trump campaign with Clinton administration and Clinton campaign. See if it reads the same to you.
Come back with us. More fine callers, perhaps, at 844-967-2789. We are the Devil's Advocates. It's Friday. We air grievances.
Give me love, give me your thunder. Show me right, leave a little wonder. All the way, oh, I keep messing up.
I have a greater responsibility than you can possibly fathom.
I don't like your attitude.
I don't give a damn what you think you are entitled to.
I'm holding you in contempt of court.
I would rather you just said thank you and went on your way.
You're under arrest, Trump.
Who's gonna do it? You? You, Lieutenant Weinberg?
This is Ben Wickler, running for chair of the Democratic Party of Wisconsin with Felicia Martin for first vice chair and Lee Snodgrass for second vice chair. Our platform spells FIRE. F is for fight on issues between elections. I and R for include and respect everyone. Rural, suburbs, cities, and communities of color. And E for empower. Empowering grassroots activists with better data, technology, and training. Vote for me, Ben Wickler, Felicia Martin, and Lee Snodgrass this Sunday at the Democratic Party of Wisconsin Convention. Learn more at benwickler.com.
Hey everybody, my name is Chris Walton, chair of the Milwaukee County Democratic Party. I'm here to invite you to the 2019 Democratic Party of Wisconsin State Convention, this weekend in Milwaukee at Potawatomi. It's $35 for admission, doors open at 11 a.m. on Saturday. Come out and join us and meet Democrats around the whole state of Wisconsin as we elect our next leaders and prepare for the 2020 Democratic National Convention and the presidential election. We will also be broadcasting live on WRRD 1510 and Talk 92.7.
Wisconsin, home to the world's best cheese, best beer, and best football fans in America. But unfortunately, Wisconsin is also home to something else. Tens of thousands of citizens who just can't afford health care. We're talking friends and neighbors struggling to take care of themselves and their families. Many working long hours, or sometimes 2 jobs, in industries like retail, construction, childcare, and agriculture. Jobs that don't always offer benefits or pay wages high enough to allow someone to afford coverage on their own. That's why it's time the legislature fully expanded Badger Care for people making less than $8.50 an hour. It's a smart investment for our state, saving lives and taxpayer dollars, providing affordable health coverage for our citizens. Get the facts at betterbadgercare.com. Then tell your legislator to take action today. It's the right thing to do right now. Paid for by Citizen Action of Wisconsin.
You made a fool of me. but them broken dreams have got to end.
The Devil's Advocates, radio for nasty women everywhere.
And we are back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show. You can join us on the phones, air your grievances on this beautiful Friday afternoon at 844-967-2789.
Dominic, I had to look up Ruckersville. Had not heard of that place. Apparently, it's in Northern Virginia, just north of Charlottesville. I suspect he's listening to us on the Progressive FM there. Dom, the population, 1,141. The community lies amidst hills, mountain views, trees, and farmland. Sounds beautiful, sir.
And I want to hear people's opinions on it, but I mean, you gotta. I think it's a good practice. Remove Trump, put in Clinton, put in Obama. If you're from the right and you're okay with this, just swap some words around, man. Copy the thing into a word, do a find replace, and insert Clinton or Obama, and just see if the flow's the same for you.
844-967-2789. Let's get back to the phones. Betsy from Wisconsin. Welcome, Betsy.
Hey, Dallas. Happy Friday.
Betsy. Happy Friday, girl.
My goodness, I can't stand these people that don't open up their mind and see what is happening to this country.
Maybe the gentleman from Ruckersville hasn't seen the evidence yet. Been watching too much Fox News.
I don't know if it's evidence or just ignorance.
All right, Betsy, let me ask you
God.
something. In the interest of honest discourse and discussion, if something like this were to happen to the same exact scenario, but a Democratic president, would you have the same angst as you do right now?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I do not want the Russians. I don't want the Chinese. I don't want the Iranians. I don't want anyone messing in our elections, okay? And they hacked in our elections.
Come on, everybody's doing it, Betsy.
Yeah, come on. What are you going to do?
Yeah. The voter suppression, everything that these Republicans are doing to obstruct us, we the people, of what we want for this nation. And can't we all just get along? What do we got, Trump here? He's wrecking this country. He's wrecking this country. The farmers are hurting bad. I mean, I can't even tell you how bad they're hurting here in Wisconsin because of him. I mean, and not to mention our governor, Scott Walker.
Former governor. Former governor.
Yes, absolutely. Former governor is right. Who just went roughshod over us all. They don't care about us. The big money is what is taking over. They don't give a
All right, way to hold it, Betsy. We appreciate it. Thank you for your passion. Thank you for the call. Enjoy the weekend.
Did she quote Rodney King? I mean, before the almost profanity. Can't we all get along? Well, we're bringing Ron Johnson on soon.
We'll see.
Come back with us. More Devil's Advocates, more of your phone calls. 844-967-2789.
Want to be more presidential? Tweet the Devil's Advocates at Devil Radio.
Hey everybody, my name is Chris Walton, Chair of the Milwaukee County Democratic Party. I'm here to invite you to the 2019 Democratic Party of Wisconsin State Convention this weekend in Milwaukee at Potawatomi. It's $35 for admission, doors open at 11 a.m. on Saturday. Come out and join us and meet Democrats around the whole state of Wisconsin as we elect our next leaders and prepare for the 2020 Democratic National Convention and the presidential election. We will also be broadcasting live on WRRD 1510 and Talk 92.7.
The Democratic Party of Wisconsin Convention will broadcast live on WRRD 1510 AM, Saturday, June 1st, beginning at 10. Hosted coverage with Sabrina Madison, Earl Ingram Jr., Joe Costa Zambaripa, and the Devil's Advocates through Saturday night speeches. Exclusive WRRD 1510 AM coverage, sponsored by the Wickler Martin Snodgrass Ticket, Teamsters Local 200, CD1 Democratic Party, and the Packing House Restaurant.
You are listening to WRRD 1510 AM, Waukesha, Milwaukee. Always streaming at newstalk1510am.com.
Virginia Beach shooting. Wall Street takes a hit. I'm Barbara Cusack. A suspect is in custody after opening fire at the Virginia Beach Municipal Center. Police say multiple people were injured and advised the public to avoid the area. A public works employee told WAVY-TV that employees were at their desks when gunshots rang out and saw a badly injured woman in a stairwell. Virginia Governor Ralph Northam said on Twitter that his team was actively monitoring the situation. Wall Street took a hit on the heels of President Trump's announced tariff to be imposed on all Mexican imports starting June 10th. Correspondent Steve Kastenbaum fills us in.
At the end of the trading day, the Dow Jones Industrial Average was down 355 points, a loss of 1.4% of its value. The S&P 500 was down 1.25%. Stock prices tumbled the moment trading began today, and they never recovered. Investors reacted to President Trump's threat to place tariffs on Mexico if that country didn't do something to stop the flow of immigrants across the border.
The U.S. Chamber of Commerce Executive Vice President Neil Bradley disagrees with using tariffs as a way to get Mexico to curb the flow of migrants.
There are a lot of things we should do. There are real problems at the southern border, but it's really hard to draw a connection between a tax on consumers and businesses here in America and solving that problem.
But White House counselor Kellyanne Conway sees the tariff threat as mission accomplished.
Tariffs are a good way to get a trading partner's attention, and apparently the president did.
A hearing is planned for Tuesday as a judge's ruling in favor of Planned Parenthood today keeps Missouri's only abortion clinic open at least a few more days. The Roman Catholic Church in the U.S. says allegations of child sex abuse by clerics more than doubled in its latest 12-month reporting period. During the same time frame, its spending on compensation and child protection surged above $300 million. That's twice the amount 4 years earlier. I'm Barbara Cusack.
This is Ben Wickler, running for chair of the Democratic Party of Wisconsin with Felicia Martin for first vice chair and Lee Snodgrass for second vice chair. Our platform spells FIRE. F is for fight on issues between elections. I and R for include and respect everyone, rural, suburbs, cities, and communities of color. And E for empower, empowering grassroots activists with better data, technology, and training. Vote for me, Ben Wickler, Felicia Martin, and Lee Snodgrass this Sunday at the Democratic Party of Wisconsin Convention. Learn more at benwickler.com.
Got unwanted pests in your home or business? Call Get Rid Pest Control at 414-368-0696. State licensed and certified with over 20 years experience, Get Rid Pest Control guarantees their work in the removal of common household pests, including mice, rats, ants, roaches, spiders, centipedes, and bedbugs. Humane trapping and removal of larger pests as well. Unmarked vehicles available upon request. 24-hour emergency service available. Call Get Rid Pest Control today for your free estimate. 414-368-0696. If you got it, we'll get it.
Democratic Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez was out to raise awareness of how little tip workers get paid in wages, as correspondent John Stolness tells us.
Red wine, okay. And I'll take Hendrix and ginger with a lime.
New York Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez took a shift at a bar in her Bronx, Queens district as a way to highlight those tips workers that you don't ordinarily think about.
Car wash attendants, we don't think of nail salon techs. Those wages often look so different than a bartending wage.
She said even if you earn tips, you should still receive the minimum wage.
We're just trying to make sure that everyone gets paid a minimum wage, and any tips that we get come on top of that.
Ocasio-Cortez is attempting to build support for a doubling of the minimum wage by 2024 and for New York State's one fair wage, which would mandate that tipped workers are paid at least the minimum wage.
8 spellers withstood 20 rounds of competition and all walked away winners at the Scripps National Spelling Bee this year. I'm Barbara Cusack.
Thinking about life.
You concerned about speaking up at work? Do you feel like you have no say in your day-to-day work routine? Join Teamsters Local 344. Call 414-258-4545. Get a seat at the table. Join your brothers and sisters in negotiating for better wages, hours, and working conditions, and be part of the most powerful union in North America. Teamsters Local 344 covers sales and service throughout Southeast Wisconsin and package and airlines statewide. Contact Teamsters Local 344 at 414-258-4545 or at local344.org.
Electric bikes are exciting. E-bikes improve your health. E-bikes give you fun things to do this summer besides going out to eat.
Lynn, I have gotten chubby.
Lose weight, lower blood pressure.
But is it going to cost me $2,000?
No, at Crazy Lenny's E-Bikes, we have bikes for just $690. Get outside this summer. Ride the trails. Get an e-bike. Go up hills without pedaling. E-bikes only $690 at Crazy Lenny's E-Bikes, 6017 Odana Road.
You don't have to buy one. Just try one.
No, you don't have to buy one. Just try one.
For WRRD and WTTN, I'm Stu Daniels with your headlines. A Milwaukee landmark, Mr. Perkins Family Restaurant, is celebrating their 50th anniversary today. And there is a new attraction at the Deer District outside of the Bucks Arena in downtown Milwaukee. It's a super high-tech water fountain with multicolor LED lights and streams of water that can dance to music. The fountain even has sensors to detect high winds, which will reduce the height of the shooting streams of water. Forecast for Milwaukee and Madison. Tonight, mostly cloudy with a chance of rain. Lows in the mid-50s in Milwaukee, around 60 in Madison. Then tomorrow, mostly cloudy with a chance of rain and highs in the low 60s in Milwaukee, low 70s in Madison. You're listening to WRRD and WTTN, Wisconsin's political talk.
Warning, you are about to listen to the greatest radio show ever. And due to contractual obligations and to shield our airwaves' corporate licensees from any semblance of liability, responsibility, and gullibility, we must tell you the views represented on this show are not necessarily those of this station or its management. This radio show contains differing points of view on current political topics, and due to the nature of its contents, it should be heard by everyone. Thank you for listening.
3, 2, 1.
Now live from the heart of liberal Wisconsin, where the political party is just beginning, welcome to the Devil's Advocate Show. Best friends proving it's never personal, only politics.
Please allow me to introduce myself.
Now here are your hosts, Dom and Crute.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show. Dominic, we are sliding into the Friday 5 o'clock happy hour.
Yeah.
I know you get so happy. Buddy, we got a fine guest in this hour. Our good friend, U.S. Senator Ron Johnson. You know, the last man standing. The last Republican standing, anyways. And tomorrow, don't forget, the Democratic Party of Wisconsin, the big convention going off tomorrow. We'll be broadcasting live. Well, not Dom and I per se, but, you know, the team. The team gets started at 10 o'clock tomorrow morning. We'll go live. We're doing it live, Dom. Basically all afternoon long, all evening long. We'll have the speeches. We'll have all the commentary you need. Tune in. WRD 1510 AM, WTTN 1580, Talk 92.7 FM. Preset it, glue it, and then tune it in and leave it there forever. Dominic.
Crudy.
Quick pivot. Trump and tariffs, man.
I know. We haven't even gotten there yet. Can you believe it?
I got a statement from the editorial board at the Washington Post. I'd like to share it with our audience. Trump's tariffs on Mexico are the kind of erratic act the Constitution is meant to prevent. Dom, do we impeach this guy over tariffs? The editorial
Hey, whatever
board,
gets the Republicans on board, I'm down with.
I'm going to have to ask our buddy Ron about tariffs, Dom. The massive influx of Central American migrants across the U.S.-Mexico border is a real problem to which President Trump's sudden threat of escalating tariffs against Mexico is a bizarre and wildly inappropriate response. Not only does it attribute spuriously all the blame for the migrant flow to Mexico, but it also takes that friendly country's economy hostage. Hard to get it all out at once. Now, a lot of hyphens in this statement. Unless and until the illegal migration crisis is alleviated through effective actions taken by Mexico to be determined in our sole discretion and judgment. You know, nothing arbitrary about that.
No, not at all.
As the president put it in a statement Thursday night, U.S. consumers and companies will suffer potentially major collateral damage, all for the sake of a dispute that has nothing to do with trade. Mr. Trump undermines goodwill he had recently reestablished with Mexico by lifting steel and aluminum tariffs. This was done to promote ratification of the new U.S.-Mexico-Canada trade agreement. You know, Dom, NAFTA 2.0. Now the treaty's prospects for passage will again plummet, both in Mexico City and in Congress. Mr. Trump has just shown again why it's so hard for any counterpart, domestic or international, to work with him. It's like doing this show. If Mr. Trump actually carries out the ultimatum by his own self-imposed June 10th deadline, the American consumer will pay to the tune of a few $100 million at first and $3 billion if Mexico hasn't satisfied him by October, thus triggering maximum tariffs of 25%, and that is for fresh produce alone, projected over the 2018 total imports from Mexico, $372 billion, including the vast automotive supply chain. The maximum cost could be $93 billion. Mr. Trump is not thinking in cost-benefit terms, but rather casts the lawless chaos and massed incursion of an emergency, an extraordinary threat to the national security and economy of the United States. Those are not good things. The latter phrasing is necessary to trigger the International Emergency Economic Powers Act, a law that empowered presidents to act against adversaries such as Iran, in which Mr. Trump now stretches to threaten economic sanctions against our second largest trading partner. He has apparently done so without the congressional consultation the statute calls for in every possible instance. And a tax increase imposed by sudden executive fiat in pursuit of an irrational conflict with a neighbor and close ally, counterproductive for the White House's own declared priorities. This epitomizes the kind of erratic presidential rule the Constitution intended to prevent. We are experiencing the downside of past legislation delegating emergency international economic power to the executive branch. Dom, Congress must act on a bipartisan basis. Take it back.
Congress better act. I mean, we've got a guest making faces at me. Congress absolutely must act. Well, I mean, there are limits to this man's power. I mean, if a president wanted to just destroy the economy and say, you know, we're going to have 1,000% tariff on everything coming in from every country, certainly the Congress would have a problem with that, and certainly they would have the legal means to push back against such an asinine proposal.
Well, Dominic, you know my conspiracy theory. This is just Donald Trump's way of keeping promises by effectively charging Mexico for the southern border wall.
But tariffs, Mexico, China, they don't pay the tariffs. The consumers pay the tariffs with passed along cost increases. That's how it works.
Dominic, I, like the president, very, very confused about the concept of tariffs. Perhaps our next fine guest can explain it for all of our sake. He is U.S. Senator Ron Johnson, last man standing. We'll welcome him into the Brady Street studios next. Come back with us. More Devil's Advocates. Happy Friday to us all.
Mexico is going to pay for the war. That comment will come back to haunt me.
Electric bikes are exciting. E-bikes improve your health. E-bikes give you fun things to do this summer besides going out to eat.
Lynn, I have gotten chubby.
Lose weight, lower blood pressure.
But is it going to cost me $2,000?
No, at Crazy Lenny's E-Bikes, we have bikes for just $690. Get outside this summer. Ride the trails. Get an e-bike. Go up hills without pedaling. E-bikes only $690 at Crazy Lenny's E-Bikes, 6017 Odana Road.
You don't have to buy one. Just try one.
No, you don't have to buy one. Just try one.
We the people, the hardworking 99% of men and women, only have a voice when we join together as one and amplify our message. Now is the time for all Wisconsinites to join We the People and raise our voices. Do you feel like you are wasting your money funding unaccountable consultants, unresponsive candidates, and their campaigns? Help us do something that really matters. Please join We the People. Give what you can so we can support progressive radio stations like this one, using the public airwaves to educate Wisconsin about what we the people want for our state and remind Wisconsin's politicians that they work for us. Your donations to We the People at p4ppc.org, a registered, compliant IRS 501c3, will always be tax deductible, will always remain anonymous, and We the People pledge to spend 100% of donations educating Wisconsin on the issues our donors want discussed, giving individuals a voice in the collective message of We the People. Please give today at p4ppc.org. That's p4ppc.org. We the people need you.
Hey, Milwaukee, do you have an office to clean out or close out? Don't call the junk man. Call my friends at Madison Liquidators. Sustainability is their business model. They'll pick up and recycle and refurbish your used furniture. They'll help keep your old office furniture out of the landfill. Find them online at madisonliquidators.com. Call Madison Liquidators 608-831.
Warning, listening to the Devil's Advocates may expose you to opposing views.
And we are back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show. If you missed any of this fine program, please go online. You can check out podcasts and interviews. Download them, listen to them at domandcroot.com.
Dominic, we welcome a fine guest back to this fine program. He's a friend of ours. He is U.S. Senator Ron Johnson from the great state of Wisconsin. Ron, I assume you're an Elton John fan, in that I understand you are the last Republican standing in the great state of Wisconsin, sir.
I'm not quite sure I understand that reference, but yeah, I like Elton John fine.
Well, we played a little Elton John to welcome you to the show. Ron, you are the last statewide Republican office holder in the state of Wisconsin. I keep seeing you referred to as the last man standing.
You say that with such glee in your voice. We're trying to correct that.
It couldn't happen to a better guy, though, Ron.
Ron, I had scribbled a few notes for you. I don't typically prepare for the interview, sir, but I always try to make a special effort for you. You were so very kind. You tweeted out, I got the new radio station in Madison now, Ron, Talk 92.7 FM.
Congratulations.
Well, thank you, sir.
Entrepreneurship. You're this close to being a conservative.
No.
Well, you congratulated me out.
Pay a few more taxes and you'll be this close.
Well, I thought only the suckers played
That's
taxes,
right.
Ron. But, Ron, you talked about free market economics, and you congratulated me, and I appreciated it, sir. But I got to ask you, who do you think we're going to tariff next? Free market style and all.
Let's hope nobody. Listen, when you're preaching the choir, I'm not a fan of tariffs.
So when the president of the United States ties this issue, this trade issue with Mexico, and threatens tariffs, escalating tariffs, 5%, escalating up to, 25% potentially? Ron, that can't be good for the U.S. economy, can it?
It wouldn't be, and hopefully all he's doing is threatening this to get the attention of Mexico, who, by the way, we do need their cooperation in trying to stem this out-of-control problem with migrants coming in from Central America. Right now, in the first 8 months of this fiscal year, we've had 400,000 unaccompanied children, but primarily people coming as one adult and one child family units. If this continues at May's pace, it'll be 800,000. That compares to in 2014, 120,000 people came in, and President Obama declared that rightfully humanitarian crisis. So we need to get their attention. By the way, the foreign minister of Mexico is in Washington, D.C. I spoke with them, the foreign minister and the ambassador, about 3 weeks ago, asking them to enter into a third safe country agreement with America as part of the deterrence to try and reduce that flow.
But, Ron, how did trade get involved in this? Why tariffs? And are we in the midst of trying to recraft the NAFTA agreement? Weren't we trying to make a deal with Mexico and Canada? Ron, what sort of business partners are we if we cannot be trusted to do business in a fair way?
No, I think the president's got to be really concerned about how he puts USMCA at risk if he actually invokes these things. Again, I'm not a fan of tariffs. I mean, I realize they are a tax on American consumers. Long term, they're bad economically. President Trump says he wants a tariff-free world. Let's take him at his word. But what he's
but has he done anything?
His word or his actions.
Right. Well, look at the actions.
The fact of the matter is, the tariff saber rattling did bring Canada and Mexico to the table, and he got an agreement there. He was this close in China, but then China backed away when we said, "Okay, this is what you've agreed to now and acted in law," which kind of shows they weren't particularly serious. So. Listen, I think you would agree that America's been very generous, very magnanimous, opening up our markets. Our trading partners have taken advantage of that, and as a result, we do not have reciprocal trade agreements. President Trump is dedicated to resetting these trade agreements.
Senator Chuck Grassley said today, trade policy and border security are separate issues. This is a misuse of presidential tariff authority and counter to congressional intent. Your response?
Well, first of all, they are separate issues. Again, if you listen to Trump, what he's saying is he's using these tariffs as leverage in these negotiations. I'll take a look at the international emergency economic
tariffs that have been disastrous for Wisconsin farmers. I think I read like 80 or 90 family farms went out of business in the state of Wisconsin last month. I got a friend who is a welder and creates, the big milking machines, the big tanks. And Ron, business is terribly off in that industry. Anything associated with the dairy farming industry, obviously the proposed $16 billion, I think, in some sort of socialist kickbacks to the farmers, Ron. I got to ask you.
You realize I wasn't in favor of that either. or was highly skeptical that was going to be allocated properly.
Well,
I had my own
what are you
comment
doing
on
for
that.
Wisconsin's farmers?
Well,
Ron, what are we going to do to correct the situation before they're all out of business?
Yeah, what has amazed me throughout this trade war is I talked to Wisconsin farmers who definitely want trade rather than aid, but also Wisconsin manufacturers who are also being harmed by the trade wars. Almost the last comment invariably is, but I really support what President Trump's trying to do. So people do realize China's the real trade abuser. Our other trading partners have not treated us fairly, and they support President Trump's goals. Now, I, for one, want him to succeed with better agreements, and he cannot reach those agreements soon enough for me and Wisconsin farmers and Wisconsin manufacturers.
Now, Ron, I'm not a big fan of soybeans, but apparently Russia is stepping in the breach where Wisconsin farmers used to
so are other countries as well. No, I mean, guys, you're preaching to the choir here. Mike, you're picking a fight with somebody who's on your side.
But Ron, I mean, ultimately, sure. I mean, we want America to have strong trade agreements, but to go down this road in this route, I mean, there's a price to pay, right? And how long can we continue this?
Not much longer.
Not much longer.
Not much longer. I think the administration understands
the
that.
The dairy state is damn near no longer the dairy state, and in large part because of the trade policies of this president. And I don't see, and maybe you see something that I don't. Are we getting to where we want to be? Is there a light at the end of the tunnel that's not going to be a train?
Well, again, the president did get the USMCA agreement to replace NAFTA. I was one of the people pressuring him to actually get that ratified while Republicans were in control of the House, because right now Democrats, it's not a good enough agreement for them apparently. So unfortunately, Democrats actually do prefer protectionism and are more in favor of tariffs than certainly I am. So again, I'm just hoping this president will conclude these trade agreements as quickly as possible.
Okay, Ron, I got to ask you. Here's my conspiracy theory. Donald Trump is going to claim this is a promise kept. These tariffs, he's somehow going to claim it's Mexico paying for his wall, sir.
and you want to comment for me on that?
Well,
what's actually
Ron?
for somebody who really supports global markets, free trade, but fair trade, it was kind of depressing to me. We ran an election in 2016. Both candidates were vowing to cancel TPP. Both candidates said NAFTA is the worst agreement in the world. I don't agree with that. Wisconsin actually has a trade surplus with both Mexico and Canada. I think NAFTA has been mutually beneficial to all three countries engaged in it. Trade is mutually beneficial, but we should, as much as possible, demand fair and reciprocal trade agreements.
Folks, you are listening to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show. We got U.S. Senator Ron Johnson, Wisconsin Senior Senator, live in the Brady Street studios. Ron, I want to turn away from tariffs and trade towards Iran. I'm worried about the saber rattling going on. I understand there's some evidence that's been presented suggesting that perhaps Iran has done some aggressive things. I want to get your take on it, Senator. Where do we stand with Iran? Are we worried about bombs dropping on Iran any day now, sir?
Listen, it's not just suspected. Iran is responsible for the killing, the murdering of at least 1,000, if not 2,000 U.S. soldiers by providing those IEDs in the Iraq War. They are certainly responsible for an awful lot of slaughter in Syria and in Yemen. And yeah, there was intelligence that they were ramping up efforts and certainly threatening U.S. interests, if not U.S. soldiers. So I think this administration acted appropriately. They rapidly deployed a naval force that was going to go into the area anyway. And President Trump, I think, on the one hand, also said, we don't want war with Iran. So the entire action was about deterring Iranian actions, which would have pretty well forced our hands.
Now, Ron, are you at all concerned guys like John Bolton may push the president beyond what his own sensibilities might be on this? I heard Trump the other day say, I hope we're not going to war with Iran, but it seems an awful lot to me, Ron. Like guys like John Bolton, they're itching to take this opportunity to incur in the Middle East again, sir.
I think one thing you have to acknowledge about President Trump is he's his own man, and he follows his own advice, and he does not want war with Iran. He stated that very clearly, but at the same time agreed to the prepositioning of assets to deter further Iranian aggression.
But, I mean, Senator, the president hardly has any credibility. I mean, how many things mistruths that he's given since his presidency started?
I think by letting the bombs fly when Syria engaged in chemical weapons, you gain a fair amount of credibility, quite honestly. So I think people take his threats very seriously, but I think people realize he wants to get out of these endless wars, and he just does not want a new war in Iran. Well, I think he's got actually a great deal of credibility from that standpoint.
Ron, those of us that were opposed to the Iraq war from the very beginning, I thought perhaps the American people were being presented false evidence, Ron. And my concern now is that we may again be presented false evidence. Ron, do you have any concerns? You're the HISGAC chairman. You have more access than guys like me and Dom do. Ron, you don't have any concerns that maybe some of this evidence might be manufactured or
I guess,
a little hyperbolic?
No, absolutely not. This is not false evidence whatsoever. And whether it's classified information or just what the reality has been of Iran's malign behavior in the region, they are the largest state sponsor of terror. They are the problem in the Middle East, and we need to do everything we can to deter further aggression on their part.
Senator, the president said before he was elected, what, you think we're so innocent? I mean, we've certainly been over there in other people's business from the get-go. How is this not just a regional power just pushing back?
I believe America is a phenomenal force for good in the world. You maybe don't agree with that, but I do. And
well, I'm just quoting the president.
And the U.S. involvement, for example, trying to bring the parties to a peace agreement with Yemen. The fact that, we are supplying munitions, but we're supplying more accurate munitions to reduce the slaughter in Yemen. So again, we're not perfect, but we are the indispensable nation, and we're a phenomenal force for good in the world by and large.
Ron, should the U.S. Congress make any determination whether or not we use military force anywhere in the world? I mean, isn't that Congress's role, sir?
Yeah, it is our role to declare war, but it's also constitutional role of the president to conduct foreign policy. And so much of these areas, you see how slow it takes for a Congress to act. A lot of these situations have to be dealt with immediately, and that's why we vested those powers in the president.
Ron, if there was some need, to your perception, for military force, do you just give that ability to make that determination to Donald Trump, or do you feel like he must come back to Congress if we ever get to that point, sir?
The Constitution vests a great deal of power in terms of foreign policy, and that's required. That also is, as commander-in-chief with the president. And yes, it's Congress's role to declare war, but in the end, it's the public that decides all these things.
Folks, you are listening to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show. It's a Friday afternoon. We got a fine guest in studio. He is U.S. Senator Ron Johnson, having a cold one with us. Come back. More Devil's Advocates on the other side.
Do you want to be a winner? All the winners I know like the Devil's Advocates Facebook page.
I always want to tell the truth. When I can, I tell the truth.
Regano's Roman Coin. This neighborhood corner tavern is as classic as the street it occupies. Family owned and operated since 1966, Regano's Roman Coin is located in a former Pabst Tide House on historic Brady Street, serving an array of craft beers with a focus on Wisconsin breweries. Also, weekly drink specials, trivia on Wednesdays, seasonal sporting events, parties hosted for all occasions, and pet friendly. Open 11 a.m. Tuesday through Friday, 10 a.m. Saturday and Sunday, closed on Monday. Regano's Roman Coin, Milwaukee's pet friendly, cash only order in classic corner tavern.
Businesses today thrive and survive with technology. At Five Nines, we provide businesses with the IT tools they need to stay relevant. We offer enterprise-level solutions at competitive prices. I'm Todd Stryker, President and CEO of Five Nines. Let us manage your IT so you can focus on more important things, like running your business. Check us out at 5nines.com. That's the number 5, NINES.com.
You are listening to WRRD 1510 AM, Waukesha, Milwaukee. Always streaming at newstalk1510am.com.
Wisconsin, home to the world's best cheese, best beer, and best football fans in America. But unfortunately, Wisconsin is also home to something else. Tens of thousands of citizens who just can't afford health care. We're talking friends and neighbors struggling to take care of themselves and their families. Many working long hours, or sometimes 2 jobs, in industries like retail, construction, childcare, and agriculture. Jobs that don't always offer benefits or pay wages high enough to allow someone to afford coverage on their own. That's why it's time the legislature fully expanded Badger Care for people making less than $8.50 an hour. It's a smart investment for our state, saving lives and taxpayer dollars, providing affordable health coverage for our citizens. Get the facts at betterbadgercare.com. Then tell your legislator to take action today. It's the right thing to do right now. Paid for by Citizen Action of Wisconsin.
You concerned about speaking up at work? Do you feel like you have no say in your day-to-day work routine? Join Teamsters Local 344. Call 414-258-4545. Get a seat at the table. Join your brothers and sisters in negotiating for better wages, hours, and working conditions, and be part of the most powerful union in North America. Teamsters Local 344 covers sales and service throughout Southeast Wisconsin and package and airlines statewide. Contact Teamsters Local 344 at 414-258-4545 or at local344.org.
The Democratic Party of Wisconsin Convention will broadcast live on WRRD 1510 AM Saturday, June 1st, beginning at 10. Hosted coverage with Sabrina Madison, Earl Ingram Jr., Joe Costa Zamaripa, and the Devil's Advocates through Saturday night speeches. Exclusive WRRD 1510 AM coverage sponsored by the Wickler Martin Snodgrass ticket, Teamsters Local 200, CD1 Democratic Party, and the Packing House Restaurant.
For WRRD and WTTN, I'm Stu Daniels with your headlines. This weekend is the state convention for the Democratic Party of Wisconsin. This year, the convention is being held at the Potawatomi Hotel and Casino in Milwaukee. You can hear live coverage from the floor of the convention here on WRRD and WTTN tomorrow, starting at 10 a.m. and going late into the evening. The Devil's Advocates will be doing a live show during the break tomorrow from about 4:45 to 6:30 p.m. Featured speakers tomorrow evening include Governor Tony Evers, Senator Tammy Baldwin, and U.S. Representatives Gwen Moore and Mark Pocan. Forecast for Milwaukee and Madison. Tonight, mostly cloudy with a chance of rain. Lows in the mid-50s in Milwaukee, around 60 in Madison. Tomorrow, mostly cloudy with a chance of rain and highs in the low 60s in Milwaukee, low 70s in Madison. You're listening to WRRD and WTTN.
The Devil's Advocates, making radio great again.
Exclamation point.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show, the happy hour. It continues. We got a fine guest live in the Brady Street studios. He is U.S. Senator Ron Johnson. And Ron, I admire the fact you took a couple of good jabs at me during the commercial break.
You
made it sting
really.
a little, sir. I'll be quite honest with you. So now it's my turn, Ron. I saved mine for on the air. I got to ask you, Ron, have you read that Mueller report? I hear it's a page turner.
No, it's a snoozer. No, and I did. I actually had a couple
You
days
read it,
off.
400 pages, you read it.
I did. No, I can't say I read every word because my eyes were closing frequently. But no, it is excruciating detail. It should have been the definitive statement. We should be moving beyond this point, but we're not. It's unfortunate.
Ron, are you at all concerned the fact that Robert Mueller felt the need to come out in public this week and basically say that he could not exonerate this president? Ron, that's not the way that Bill Barr was spending it, certainly not the way that Trump was spending it. Well, Ron, I know which team you're on, but, sir, you got to have some concerns.
First of all, it sounds like they issued a joint press release to kind of clarify things. No, the real shame is that we haven't achieved closure and clarity on this issue after 18 plus months of an investigation. And you guys realize I was not in support of the appointment of the special counsel at that point in time. We did this completely backwards. We should have started with congressional investigations, hearings, and then issuing reports.
I know, but Devin Nunes had a congressional investigation. It was the hack job, Ron. I mean, come on. No. You can't use that as an example. That's not – was Devin Nunes, when he was in charge, do you think that was a well-run committee?
Well, first of all, Devin Nunes has, I think, uncovered an awful lot of potential wrongdoing in the Obama administration, in the Department of Justice, in the FBI.
Oh, yeah, Trump's on the case, too.
Well, and by the way, I'm going to continue that as well. But no, had congressional hearings been held, you've got bipartisan participation in that. The American people could have seen it. We would have issued the reports, had the hearings. If there was any evidence of criminal activity in terms of collusion or conspiracy, we could have referred that to the Justice Department. If there was conflict there, then you have a special counsel. But because this is completely backwards, here we've had a special counsel, no closure, and we've got serious issues facing this nation, folks. I mean, if you haven't noticed what's happening on the border, you talked about Iran, about North Korea, Russia, China. It's unfortunate that so much of our effort and our thought process is going toward this whole Mueller thing.
Ron, I know you've put a little effort and thought into Hillary's emails through the years. Do you recall in October of 2016 a late statement made by James Comey that they were reopening the investigation into Hillary's email? And in fact, I think there was a guy that wrote that. Do you recall who wrote that letter, Ron?
I do not.
It was Peter Strzok. Peter Strzok, the deep state guy, the guy that was, stumping the.
He also wrote an awful lot of texts. One of the more recent ones we've highlighted was in December 15th, a couple of weeks after the election, where he talked about the sisters have begun leaking like mad. Scorned and worried and political, they've gone to overdrive. I mean, what's that about? This is right about the time when we first started to get news reports of Russian possible collusion with Trump. Is this just some great big planted story by the intelligence community? I think that those are some serious questions.
Do you believe that to be the case? Do you think this is a big plan? Do you think this is
I think certainly it's a plausible explanation for what all happened here.
Ron,
wait, if I may, also a plausible explanation was that, given, let me ask you this. I'm assuming you voted for the Republican in the last election, right, Senator?
That's a good assumption.
When you did so, did you know, according to the information that has now been released and uncovered, that the president was planning to build a tower in Moscow and give Putin a $50 million penthouse on the top? Were you aware of that when you voted for him?
I was not.
Does that concern you at all?
I don't know any of the details of it.
Ron, I guess here's my concern. Peter Strzok, again, you've eyeballed Peter Strzok before on this show. We've talked about the deep state. First and foremost, Ron, do you think there should be an investigation of the investigators?
Yes.
Will you?
Absolutely.
Will your committee do that?
Yeah, we're undertaking it. But we also have William Barr, I think appropriately, checking
if you
this out
issued
as well.
subpoenas, Senator, during your investigation of the investigators, if you do, and they're ignored, what would you do? Do you think that's okay? Because that's exactly what this administration is doing right now to other committees.
Well, we had the same level of obstruction from the Obama administration.
Not quite the same. Not quite the same.
No, trust me, we did not get information on the Hillary Clinton email scandal at all. I still have, for example, one request I have out of both administrations, I would like to see those emails sent by Hillary Clinton from the soil of an adversary to President Obama. I don't need to see the emails. I just want to see what the address looks like, because I think an awful lot of this is covering Obama's hide for the fact that he fully knew that Hillary Clinton was using a private server outside the classified system State Department, and the code, the criminal code under the Espionage Act says if you have knowledge of people using gross negligence handling national security information, I think Obama was vulnerable under that statute as well. And Ron, it's part of the reason Hillary Clinton was exonerated.
Ron, we found out a lot about Hillary Clinton's emails. James Comey did a very public press statement.
Very inappropriately is one of the reasons he should have been fired.
And then late in October, Peter Strzok wrote a letter. It became public, reopened the investigation of Hillary's emails, and some would say may have cost her the election. Well, Ron, here's my whole qualm with this whole theory of deep state. If the deep state truly had the dirt, or at least they felt like they had politically damaging information about Donald Trump, Why did we know that Hillary Clinton was under investigation, but we never knew before the election that Donald Trump was under investigation? If it was truly a deep state effort, Ron, why didn't they just throw it out to the New York Times or the Washington Post?
Because they completely expected that Hillary Clinton was going to win that election. They were shocked when Donald Trump won it. And by the way, I was in that.
We were all a little shocked, Ron. Let's admit it together.
I was in the secure briefing of September 2016 with the Big 12, the intelligence community plus chairman and ranking member of Homeland Security, where we were briefed by James Comey and Jay Johnson and Lisa Monaco. And this was their notice to Congress that there was evidence that Russia was trying to interfere by hacking into voter files, for example. The whole thrust, the whole purpose of that meeting was to convince us to go public and assure the public that the results of the November 2016 election was going to be legitimate because they've got this covered. The DHS was on the case and it was going to be a legitimate election. That's what they wanted us to convey to the American public.
And Mitch McConnell and your side chose not to make a bipartisan statement.
No, first of all, I wasn't convinced because I knew they were hacking the voter files and they were giving me no evidence that they had this under control. I told them I wouldn't dispute if you go out there and say it, but I don't have that confidence. But again, that's what they wanted to do until the day of the election and the wrong person won, and all of a sudden they've done everything possible to make that an illegitimate election. So again, I've kind of got that inside scoop of what they were trying to accomplish and then how they turned an about-face the day after the election. And let's face it, guys, there's been a concerted effort to sabotage this administration from day one. You take a look at that struck page text, December 15th, scorned, political, worried. They've gone into overdrive. They've started leaking like mad. And again, that is when this whole narrative, this whole false narrative about Russian collusion with Trump, which Mueller, in an exhaustive and excruciatingly detailed investigation, found no evidence of conspiracy conclusion. Kind of end of story.
You cannot say that. The evidence they found did not rise.
I just said
the
it.
Evidence they doesn't make it true, sir. The evidence they found, according to the Mueller report, did not rise to criminal conspiracy. And some of the reasons that happened, Ron, because of the 140 some contacts between the campaign and the Russians. Well, they used encrypted data. They know this. This is true. If you read the report, you would know that. They deleted data. They didn't have access to some of the Russian players. You didn't know that your president that you voted for was in negotiations to build a condo in Moscow and give the Putin a cherry on top.
You just dropped your pen.
I did. I get a little excited.
Calm down here, Don.
But here's a lot of things that I would say, yes, there is absolutely collusion. I don't know how you define collusion. In any conversation, there was collusion. Now, does it rise to criminal conspiracy? They could not. Because of the way that the information was deleted and distorted and encrypted, they could not prove that beyond a reasonable doubt. But they did say, Mueller did say, and the investigators, the angry Democrats, I guess, said that if this information did come to, it may cast, if they had access to it, may cast this investigation into a new light or shed a new light upon it. That's concerning. Now, that's not no conspiracy. There's conversations. They're releasing, the DOJ did not release transcripts as ordered by a federal judge today of Russian Ambassador Kislyak's conversations with Mike Flynn. So does that concern you? Should they not release that information, Ron?
I'm just watching
the
veins pop out of your neck here, and I'm getting a little concerned about you, Don.
I'll be all right if you just answer the question, sir.
Now, listen, guys.
But that's real, man. That's what I'm saying. This is real. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Now, I do not believe the Trump campaign or Donald Trump did anything to collude with Russia to affect the election. Now, did Russia try and interfere? Absolutely. They always have been. They always will be. I'm chairman of the European Subcommittee on Foreign Relations. They attempted a coup in Montenegro. This is what Russia does. We need to be aware of it. We need to be concerned about it. We need to counter it.
Have we taken actions for this election?
Absolutely.
Your confidence?
Both Obama and the Trump DHS, they've done a lot of cooperation with state and local election officials. They've provided security clearances so they can pass on classified information. There was no problem in terms of potential hacking into voter files and stuff in 2018. Social websites are taking down some of these websites. And listen, if you develop a website for false information over years, you're getting all the viewership. You take down that website, there's 2 or 3 years worth of effort out the window. So the first line of defense against any kind of cyber attack, any kind of interference in our election is awareness that people are trying to do it. And it's not just Russia. It could be China. It could be Iran. It could be North Korea. We're on notice now, and Americans need to be very discerning in terms of information we get off the internet. Go to reliable news sources like the New York Times, like the Washington Post,
like the Devil's Advocate.
Listen, I think they do a good job. You actually have editors. They fact check things. They have certain standards. Now they've blown things as well.
Everybody's human. I mean, that happens.
Precisely, but every time they do blow something, it undermines the public confidence in those news sources as well. So, again, I'm all for the free press. It separates us from totalitarian regimes, and I rely on it. I read it all the time.
But, Ron, I got to ask you, sir. Mitch McConnell, there is legislation that has been proposed, and your pal Mitch McConnell has the ability to put resources, to put teeth behind the U.S. efforts to stem off foreign attacks on the next.
Gobs of money already, okay? Part of the attempt that's happening right now in Washington, D.C. is to federalize elections, which I think would be a horrible mistake. And that's one of the underlying rationales for more and more federal government interference in local elections. One of the things that keeps us safe and secure is that it is separated, and local governments have control over elections. It's going to be very difficult for anybody to completely influence a national election. And that provides greater security.
Folks, you are listening to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show. Got to find guest in studio at least a few more minutes. He is U.S. Senator Ron Johnson. Ron, I don't think you're... No, I'm not quite there yet. I might get there, Ron.
He really meant to say sir.
He's trying to keep you on your toes.
You told me about my tell. I'm trying not to show my poker face so much. Ron, I understand that at this point you don't think there's there to the Mueller investigation, certainly not rising to the level of high crimes and misdemeanors. Now, I believe Nancy Pelosi said earlier today, impeachment will become inevitable. Ron, do you agree with her assessment? Whether or not you think it should be, do you think the Democrats will arrive at that conclusion? Do you think this country will end with an impeachment, or at least we'll see an impeachment on the TVs? I think hear it on the radio, sir.
I think Democrat supporters are almost going to demand it. So then we'll deal with it. So, the House will do what the House does, and if the House votes articles of impeachment, I'll be one of the 100 jurors sitting in the Senate during the trial.
Would you suggest this administration comply with the lawful and legal subpoenas given to them by these committees?
Depends on what they're subpoenaing. I think we all need to be concerned about how vital things like executive privilege is. If you're president of the United States, and that is an enormous undertaking, nobody can really do the job adequately. I mean, it's just such a
especially now.
It's such an awesome responsibility. You need advisors to be able to, give you unvarnished opinion. And if all of a sudden any kind of advice, those types of conversations are made available and subject to subpoena and public disclosure, you're going to have any president of any party really disadvantaged.
Ron, I assume you're not down for collusion with the Russians. You've said as much, and I understand.
And I believe that's what Robert Mueller said as well.
Well, collusion was set aside as a term. No conspiracy, perhaps obstruction, but let's set that aside as well. Ron, what sort of crime would merit the impeachment of the President of the United States? Hypothetically, sir.
That would be a high crime and misdemeanor as defined by the House.
How about financial crimes? Money laundering, would that rise to the level?
Impeachment is an inherently political process.
Ron,
and so literally the founders left that very arbitrary for the political process to determine. So the House will determine if they think any kind of behavior rises to the level of a high crime and misdemeanor, and then it'll be up to the Senate to determine.
But I asked you, Ron, what crime might rise to the level?
I'm not going to answer that kind of.
Let's pretend it was.
How about
Hillary?
murder? Murder. Okay, murder would definitely qualify.
Murder qualifies.
Murder.
Senator, folks, you're listening to the Devil's Advocates.
I gave you an answer.
Senator Ron Johnson, give us a straight answer.
Well, that's a straight answer. That definitely qualifies a high crime misdemeanor.
We're going to run out of time here shortly, but I wanted to get your take on this. Mitch McConnell was asked a question recently. What would you do if a Supreme Court justice died? He said he'd fill it.
Yeah, and we should.
All right, hang on one second. Brian, if you would play cut one, this is Senator Johnson from March of 2017. You've been coming around a long time.
Totally different situation.
Well, let's explain it.
A Democrat president and Republican Senate.
Play it, will you
completely
please?
separate, different situation.
My refrain always was, let the American people decide. We weren't that many months away from the election where the American people were just going to decide the direction of the country. Why not also let them decide the direction of the court? Now, Mike, I realize you don't like the result, but the American people spoke. I supported Mitch McConnell. I put myself in front of the voters of Wisconsin and said, no, we're not going to flip the court. We're going to let the American people, the voters of Wisconsin, decide the direction of the court, and they did.
Senator, will you be consistent in that philosophy if that were to happen next year?
Yeah, if we had divided government and you had a Democrat president and a Republican Senate or vice versa, you'd be in the same situation. But that's not the situation. The American people
so you're
decided.
Claiming
the American people decided we have a Republican president to nominate, and we have a Republican Senate to.
So your
confirm.
philosophy on these kinds of things are dependent on which way the wind's blowing and who's in what office and what political party's in charge of what branch of government.
Well, obviously that's a different situation, yeah. Whether you have divided government or the unified government from a standpoint of confirmation process and nomination process. Yeah, it's a totally separate situation.
Ron, I'm going to let you off the hook. I got one more for you. My understanding is your wife does not want you to run for a third term.
That is true. She didn't want me to run for a second.
Sure, there's a couple of people in the audience that may share that sentiment. But Ron, what if
I can't imagine that?
What if she could keep you closer to home?
They're actually secret supporters. They just don't know it.
Ron, here's my question: You going to run for governor in 2022?
No, what I'm concentrating on right now is
you could be the first active governor in the state of Wisconsin to come on the Devil's Advocates radio show.
That would be sweet. You don't have Tony Evers coming on?
Can you believe it?
I know,
Are you kidding me?
Kind of a burr in my saddle, Ron.
I mean, you got a microphone right down there in Madison. I mean, you got to be trudging down there almost on a monthly basis.
Senator, before we came on, I asked the audience, because they're so critical of my questions for you, what they would ask you. And aside from some portions of the male reproductive organ and lots of questions about your trip to Russia last July 4th, what is the airspeed velocity of an unladen sparrow?
I have no idea.
It's 24 miles an hour. That's a European, not African. Thanks, Ron.
I think that's from The Princess Bride.
It's from Monty Python, The Holy Grail.
Well, as long as
my favorite color is green. No, blue.
U.S. Senator Ron Johnson, he's a friend of ours. Doesn't mind drinking our beer for a change. Thanks for coming down, Ron.
Finally, you offered me one.
Have a wonderful weekend, sir. Thanks for joining us on the Devil's Advocates. Phone lines open for you next. 844-967-2789. One last segment to air your grievances.
We have found the witch. May we burn her?
This is Ben Wickler, running for chair of the Democratic Party of Wisconsin with Felicia Martin for first vice chair and Lee Snodgrass for second vice chair. Our platform spells FIRE. F is for fight on issues between elections. I and R for include and respect everyone, rural, suburbs, cities, and communities of color. And E for empower, empowering grassroots activists with better data, technology, and training. Vote for me, Ben Wickler, Felicia Martin, and Lee Snodgrass this Sunday at the Democratic Party of Wisconsin Convention. Learn more at benwickler.com.
The 1st Congressional District Democratic Organization's objective is to elect a Democrat as representative to Congress in the 1st Congressional District. Our 19-member board represents all 6 counties in the district. To learn more about our organization, like us on Facebook, Wisconsin's 1st Congressional District.
Have you been to the Hemp House on Main Street in Deerfield yet? Why not? Crudy has just a short drive from the east side of Madison and well worth the trip. Cute shop, easy to find. I love what Brian and Melissa have done with the place. I also love that they sell only Wisconsin CBD products sourced from local farms. No one is more passionate than Brian. No one is more caring than Melissa. They'll give you all the time you need and answer all your CBD questions. Go to the Hemp House at 44 North Main Street, Deerfield. Tell them the Devil's Advocate sent you for 15% off.
5 9s, your local single-source IT solutions provider. Specializing in cloud technology, consulting, servers, networks, and hosting. We manage your IT so you can focus on running your business. Enjoy technology. Enjoy 59s.com.
The Democratic Party of Wisconsin Convention will broadcast live on WRRD 1510 AM Saturday, June 1st, beginning at 10. Hosted coverage with Sabrina Madison, Earl Ingram Jr., Joe Costa Zambaripa, and the Devil's Advocates through Saturday night speeches. Exclusive WRRD 1510 AM coverage sponsored by the Wickler Martin Snodgrass ticket, Teamsters Local 200, CD1 Democratic Party, and the Packing House Restaurant.
back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show, last segment of the day. So if you've got something to say, now is your final opportunity at 844-967-2789.
Dominic, want to thank our most recent guest, a fine one friend of ours, U.S. Senator Ron Johnson. You know, I should have asked him something along the lines of, Ron, now that you're done being a White Walker on Game of Thrones, what's the future hold for you? Have you considered running for Wisconsin governor? And then, you know, it's kind of sad that got to bring our Republican senator on, who I know is not beloved to most of the audience, although we like Ron. And I got to bemoan the fact that our Democratic governor won't come on the greatest radio show ever, despite the fact that Ron Johnson's been coming on for going on 5 to 6 years. Like once a month, and normally he brings the beer.
Normally. But thanks for coming on, Ron. Let's get some callers in before the end of the day. Marcus from Madison. Happy days, Marcus. What do you got for us?
Hey, I just got one thing. How the hell did Bear fans get legal weed before Packer fans?
Right, man. No,
I mean, green and gold, it's right in the colors.
I mean, good Lord, you know, it's like I'm not going to go to church on Sunday. There's no, I've had to swallow the death of Bart Starr. In the same week, Bear fans would be, you know, the Bears still suck. They can suck bongs now, though. I got nothing. I'm done, man. Great show today. Good night. I'm going to drink myself to death.
Oh,
Peace
don't
out.
do that. Thank you, Marcus. Have a couple, smoke a little, you'll be all right. Pete from
You know, I'm a Cubs fan now suddenly. Go Illini.
Pete, you're up. Thanks for calling. What do you got?
Yeah, I think Ron started early on that legal dope in Illinois before he came up because he sure was dancing, man. I'll tell you. He's really full of you-know-what.
Well, Pete, we did get a straight answer. Impeachable offense. It's going to take a capital crime.
Oh, yeah, okay. Well, I agree with that, too. Well,
Yeah.
wonderful.
See,
That's a
we
good
gotta.
one. I like
you know
that.
what the senator says all the time, Pete. We got to find our places, our spots of agreement, and go from there. We all agree murder is an impeachable offense.
Although if
There you
Donald
go.
Trump shot someone on Fifth Avenue, still wouldn't lose Ron's vote at the ballot box, but might earn his vote in the impeachment trial.
Yeah, okay. Thanks a lot.
All right, thank you, Pete. Have a wonderful weekend. Appreciate it, man. Whew. I don't know, man. I mean, what's the hate like right now? Did we not ask enough tough questions?
I felt like we asked a few tough questions, Dom. At least we tried.
All you can do is try.
Give it best efforts today. You know, it's nearly summer, that last week of school. No one's trying very hard. But, you know, the fact that I was part of the panel today, I think probably advanced that conversation
You and
much
many of our fine Facebook friends, thank you for participating. Thank you for playing along and giving us some fine questions to go off of. And certainly one of them, of course, did you read the Mueller report? He sounds like he said he read it, but he fell asleep, so he might have missed some pertinent parts.
You mean it's not fully exonerating, not fully vindicating?
That's so weird. I thought he was. That's what Trump says.
Want to thank our fine guests. They included Sam Grover, Associate Counsel, Freedom from Religion Foundation, and, of course, U.S. Senator Ron Johnson, more your friend than mine. At least I was polite. Tune in tomorrow. It's going to be a big day. Democratic Party of Wisconsin. The convention, it goes on. We're going to start live coverage, 10 o'clock from the Potawatomi, all day long. Devil's Advocates will go live about 4:45. All you need to know, all the big speeches, all the finest guests. You better stick around all weekend. WRD 1510 AM, Talk 92.7. Have a great night. Stick around. Dawn of the Resistance and DPW convention coverage tomorrow. Damn it, I was so close.
I got a lot of problems with you people. Now, you're going to hear about it.
Hey everybody, my name is Chris Walton, chair of the Milwaukee County Democratic Party. I'm here to invite you to the 2019 Democratic Party of Wisconsin State Convention this weekend in Milwaukee at Potawatomi. It's $35 for admission, doors open at 11 a.m. on Saturday. Come out and join us and meet Democrats around the whole state of Wisconsin as we elect our